The star generals glanced at each other, nodding in tacit agreement. In the next instant, their star beasts launched an attack. The new heavenly phoenix spread its wings. Its might quaked, and thereupon at the same time, their destined star weapons showed different colored glows. With fierce stances, those beautiful figures launched towards Gongsun Huang. The spring breeze-drunken rain pavilion's star maidens fully displayed the tacit coordination and severe styles that was perfected over the last few years. Gongsun Huang was still calm as before, without any wave of shock. Her pupils abruptly emitted multicolored light, her body techniques shifted, and afterimages emerged in layers. The dragon in the cloud's magic energy already begun to mobilize. The next instant, Gongsun Huang waved the pine-brand ancient sword, using a wind rolls the clouds. Then, the girl's figure was like a graceful breeze. She abruptly disappeared, suddenly blending into the air. She completely ignored the little sister's all-encompassing offensive. Gongsun Huang's flashed by with super-powerful awareness. Instantly, she shifted several zhang of space and arrived at Li Bailian's side. Without a words, the pine-brand ancient sword directly slashed diagonally. Although she did not have that sort of lethal weapon that a martial four-star general had, even the pine-brand ancient sword could be barely used for battle. However, using it to confront them was enough. The star energy on the sword circulated, and a force more powerful than at any other time came out of the sword. In the face of these sisters' anger, this was the first time Gongsun Huang had released her power without any restraint. With a simple wave, yet not as much as before, there was a hurricane fast to the point that their figures became obscured. Immediately after the sword slashed, the air suddenly let out a soft noise, as if something had cracked. A clear, black line immediately emerged, drawing a complete trajectory. The azure dragon bit. Li Bailian's complexion changed, basically unable to react. The cup of wine in her hand spilled out, becoming a poison fog. She hastily used her hands to protect herself, releasing star energy defenses at full power. Milky white waves suddenly surged like a tide. A distinctly visible protective screen immediately appeared before Gongsun Huang's eyes, slamming without ceremony into the magic energy that Gongsun Huang's pine-brand ancient sword brought. Kacha! A crisp crack once again sounded out, not the violent reaction they had imagined. Gongsun Huang's star magic appeared dull but was actually incomparably valiant. Li Bailian's white defenses broke as easily as chicken eggs. The path the azure dragon bit was like a lightning bolt, a fleeting flash. The gale in the pair's surroundings suddenly intensified. The squall blew hard, and Li Bailian stumbled backwards, somewhat in disbelief. Then her whole body hurt as she was sent flying. What a terrifying attack! Her pupils contracted, and Gu Tong's expression immediately became grave. The dragon in the clouds is so strong. During the activity of that seemingly simple star magic, it astonishingly contained power that not even all of their star weapons together were capable of blocking. It was sharper than the world's most legendary blades. Any more serious, these star magics could even surpass their star weapons. Just by using normal star magic, she unexpectedly could bring about destruction that surpassed the heaven-earth dark yellow. This sort of capability, let alone personally witnessing it, perhaps they would not have even heard of it. Gu Tong did not dare underestimate this. The other star maidens were soaked in sweat, tightly gritting their teeth. Watch this! Xinyue hastily strode forward, attempting to launch first before Gongsun Huang could execute her next attack. She absolutely was not the only one with this thinking. Practically at the same time that Li Bailian was knocked over, the others acted at the same time, cheering Gongsun Huang together. That tranquil lake in her eyes had the traces of a ripple. Instantly, Gongsun Huang's face unexpectedly showed slight graveness. The girl's body hovered in the air. Her legs nimbly spun, drawing out a wonderful, graceful, and peerlessly astounding arc to dodge Xinyue's attack. A gale rose everywhere, and her figure disappeared, already reappearing behind another one of the sisters. A movement without any excess. The most pure and simple attack. Break! Shi Meng went pale from fright. Her whole body seemed to be bound in stone, heavily protecting herself. A glaring white light suddenly revolted. Perfect as a crescent moon, it drew a beautiful arc in the sky. Brushing past Meng's abdomen, that layer of heavy rock armor immediately rose with the light, showing cracks. Meng even thought of counterattacking. She did not know when the powerful magic energy had descended and uprooted her, throwing her aside. Cloud-traveling azure dragon turn. Gongsun Huang waved her sword, making a wonderful hand seal in the air. The white clouds were immediately stirred together by a fierce wind, forming an azure dragon that covered the entire spring breeze-drunken rain pavilion. Watch this. 10 darts appeared in the hands of the young girl in black skin-tight clothes. She threw the darts, which transformed into black pythons that battled the azure dragon. But that was no more than an instant. Gongsun Huang's star magic had only just left her hand when it once again blocked her attack. Then, before the black-clothed girl could sense it, a completely indescribable power already drew near her front. The others were too late to react. The girl basically was unable to make any evasive movements. The powerful force slammed like a tide into her. Gongsun Huang's hair fluttered, and an astral wind immediately rocked the area. An airflow flew violently through, scattering a baleful aura in all directions. Countless giant rock splinters like sharp blades formed a frightening jungle of jagged stones. Bang! The girl was also beaten back. Immediately afterwards, Gongsun Huang disappeared. When she appeared, Zoku was then sent flying. In that short instant, she had executed an entire attack plan. Following a feint attack, she switched to a deadly blow. However, in an instant, Gongsun Huang unexpectedly was then in front of 6 sisters, and she instantly defeated 3 people. If it was not for Gongsun Huang holding back, they would have already starfallen. So powerful. This was the #1 in magic energy dragon in the clouds. Gu Tong was shaken, powerlessness unexpectedly appearing in her heart. There was no chance of success against such a star general. Don't underestimate us. Xinyue's shout pulled the female tiger back from her powerlessness. Her blade unsheathed. But suddenly, a chill immediately filled the entire space. The rocks in the ground exploded, and a terrifying killing intent condensed in the intense whirlwind. The space in a range of 100 zhang immediately was a vast expanse of whiteness, the temperature falling to an extreme low. The scene before them was enveloped in white, and their ears were crammed by a shrill whistle. At this sudden and intense change, Gongsun Huang held her sword horizontally, adopting a defensive posture. Xinyue nevertheless flashed away, disappeared from Gongsun Huang's line of sight. The girl was like a meteor full of destruction. The cold wind wreaked havoc in the air, and Gongsun Huang's expression was ice-cold. With her left hand shielding her face, her right hand attacked with star magic, carrying a powerful grandeur that jumped down from a peak. Watch this. This slash seemed to completely split apart the air. A heaven and earth shaking crack arose, and immediately after her attack, the ground suddenly caved in. Killing intent violently shot out, waves of snow flew, and that substantive killing intent shook in a clamor. Even more fell down from the sky. In the icy mist, a giant circular pit suddenly appeared. A booming rumble. Xinyue's sword hacked, Gongsun Huang took a step back, and her figure suddenly disappeared from under the sword. By the time she raised her head, Gongsun Huang was already wandering high in the clouds. She released star magic. A violent fire fell from the heavens, like an unending meteor shower. Xinyue groaned and knelt on the ground, and black smoke soared around her whole body. Lioness from Hedong roars. 2. The female tiger set down candy, opened her mouth, and a tsunami-like sound wave rushed Gongsun Huang. 3. Countless gorgeous light rings disappeared and reappeared before Gongsun Huang. Her powerful magic energy defended against this attack. We will fight with you. The other sisters were unwilling to be defeated like this, and they were angered to the extreme. Gongsun Huang's eyes sunk. Suddenly, her imposing aura swelled. The power between heaven and earth seemed to be sucked away, and a frightening force concentrated before them. It made Gu Tong and the others change expressions. It is a dark rank star magic. Elder sister Little Huang. In this chaos, A tender voice, clean and untouched by filth, pierced through the intense atmosphere. Gong Sun Huang's eyes slowly restored their tranquility. Quietly, she landed in front of the restaurant and extended her hand towards Bai Yutong. Bai Yutong bit her lip, miserably shaking her head. She looked to her mama, her elder sisters, and she ran up to them. She handed over carefree without a worry, her expression very self-blaming. If your man truly has sincerity, then have him come in person. Otherwise, even if we die, we will not let you take Tang Tang away. Gu Tong's face was pale, but she nevertheless did not concede defeat. Gong Sun Huang stared at Bai Yutong and contemplated for a long while. She then lifted her head and called out, "Dinu, you stay here?" The Dinu heavenly phoenix that had just trampled all over the girls' star beasts chirped. Without looking at them, Gong Sun Huang soared into the sky, and then she disappeared into the sea of clouds. "Mama, sorry, Tang Tang brought trouble to Mama and elder sisters." Bai Yutong rubbed her nose. "That dragon in the clouds is so powerful. We completely were not opponents. This star beast must be the Dinu heavenly phoenix. Just how did that man obtain it? Do not blame yourself. If your papa truly can contract you, Mama will be very happy." Gu Tong stroked Bai Yutong's head, tenderly speaking. With an elder sister like Gong Sun Huang protecting her, she is indeed in better hands than we can offer. Xinyue was both happy and helpless. This old lady actually wants to see who that man is, to be unexpectedly capable of contracting Gong Sun Xing. Su Xing sneezed. "Dear husband, what is the matter?" Hun Yangzi asked. Su Xing shook his head. He felt as if someone was thinking about him just now. "Do not be discourteous in front of the water illusion fairy." Zhang Yuqi smiled. "She seems to treat people very coldly." To be frank, Yuqi is somewhat worried whether or not elder sister can convince her. At this time, Su Xing and Zhang Yuqi were in the middle of going to meet that water illusion fairy. The meeting place was not some romantic bar, and neither was it really a beautiful landscape. Rather, it was at a place in the Black Turtle Sea called Heavenly Fong Island. Is she so serious? Su Xing was bewildered. Young Su does not know, but for this opening of the Black Turtle Temple, those devil cults have established customs not allowing outsiders entry. Zhang Yuqi explained. Su Xing nodded. This point actually was within reason. So then, if we are going, then we have to have the proof of a sect. It just so happens that the water illusion fairy can help us. Zhang Yuqi said. What sort of person is this water illusion fairy? Su Xing curiously asked. She is the star master of the 4 great devil sects, illusion and reality sect. However, Yuqi knows that the water illusion fairy seems to have come from the Azure Dragon territory. Afterwards, there was a time when she was nearly about to die in the deep seas. Elder sister liked what she saw in her, and then she signed a contract with her. After that, the illusion and reality sect fancied her. She cultivated the water illusion dark nether true technique, 5, with extreme innate talent. Thus, she was named the water illusion fairy. Zhang Yuqi smiled. The Black Turtle Territory, 6, truly likes this label. Su Xing nodded, noting that this girl was considerably legendary. However, the water illusion fairy does not believe in anyone else, and so Yuqi does not know if elder sister can convince her. Zhang Yuqi wrinkled her brow. What do we do if she can't? Su Xing smiled. Zhang Yuqi winked. Then Yuqi can only plead for young Su to take action. Me? Su Xing did not know what he could do. Take her into your harem and get a blowjob. Zhang Yuqi laughed into her sleeve. I want to choke you to death. Su Xing was speechless. I do not agree. On a cliff above Heavenly Fong Island, a woman wearing a clean white palace dress tersely replied. Zhang Feiyu said, Water illusion fairy, this is but a request my little sister had for me. Are you always so unwilling to agree? Feiyu, you ought to know that star masters cannot be trusted. She unexpectedly wants to help a star master. Could it be you did not dissuade her? The water illusion fairy sternly said. Thinking of some past matters, her expression was even colder. I will not collaborate with any man, even if it is that great Saint Star Killer. The water illusion fairy made clear her position. Boatman Zhang Feiyu was somewhat vexed. I already promised little sister Shiyu, 7. This time do not be so obstinate. Although Feiyu, also feels that little sister is indeed going a bit too far, you do not know at all the sight she has for looking at people. For this Black Turtle Temple, I even offended the 3 Ruans. If we can have a helping hand, would that not be even better? You would believe in that man so much that you would think of your little sister? I feel he is only thinking of going to Black Turtle Temple. When he obtains that good fortune pill, he will then show his true colors. The water illusion fairy insisted. I already promised him that we would meet here. You take a look first. Feiyu feels that he is rather pretty good. Zhang Feiyu stroked her chin. The water illusion fair wrinkled her brow and asked, could it be that Zhang Yuqi fancies that man to become her star master? If that is true, then great. The boatman laughed. The water illusion fairy did not need to speak, but she still was considerably conflicted in believing other men. In this life, she will believe in only one man. As for other men, Shiyu does not wish to so much as look. You speak of that man who saved you before? Liangshan continent is so vast. Where would you go search for him? It is better to forget about it. Furthermore, Shiyu, you are a star master. What can you do even if you found him? Zhang Feiyu had heard the water illusion fairy mention this once. Zhang Feiyu knew that the reason she was so unwilling to believe others was because of her past experiences. Within her history, there appeared a man that had saved her, bestowing upon her his own life-saving talisman, to the extent that the water illusion fairy would never forget. However, in the boatman's perspective, this honestly was too meaningless. In brief, Shiyu, you observe him for a bit. Then, if at that time you do not like him, we will worry later. Zhang Feiyu rudely made her determination. The water illusion fairy knew Zhang Feiyu's personality. Let alone that she was a star general, but she needed to weigh the care she had for her little sister. Then Shiyu shall give him 3 moves. If he does not have strength, then don't mention going to Black Turtle Temple. This is good. Zhang Feiyu's eyes glinted. To be frank, she had not seen Su Xing's strength, and she was rather curious about how her little sister's eyesight was. Do not talk for now. High tide is starting. Those heavenly Fang snake demons ought to appear. Shiyu shall go drill in her swords. The water illusion fairy waved her hand, and a crystalline blue jade long spear appeared in her hand. 8. This spear's name was Lord Color. 9. A weapon refined from an ancient lost treasure. The reason why the water illusion fairy was so renowned in the Black Turtle territory was more or less related to her own strength. She was not like other star cultivators who trained in flying swords. The girl was very clear that in the future star duels, what truly dominated was not a star general but the star master themselves, so increasing her own strength could slightly increase her own chances of victory. Over a very long time, the water illusion fairy would use this Lord Color to search for demon beasts to train her spearmanship. She could not demand to contend against a star general and could only resist before a star general. The tide rose. The floating and flowing water could not feel the crisis of the undercurrent. The spray of the ocean rolled, and the water illusion fairy lowered her head and narrowed her eyes. Her eyes chilled, and a school of half-man, half-fish, half-serpent demon beasts climbed up. When the first monster showed up in a person's line of sight, one could not refrain from feeling fear. That was a monster possessing the gills of a monster fish, with a mouth full of fangs and a body of snake scales, but it nevertheless had 2 slim arms and exaggerated claws. The heavenly Fang snake demon was a kind of demon beast with extremely abundant fighting strength. Regardless of whether these snake demon monsters were on land or in the depths, they were extremely quick. The scale defenses on their bodies were very suitable for use as weapon training. Those giant claws in particular could crush a seal's skull alive. The heavenly Fang snake demons lived as a pack. Ordinarily, on Heavenly Fang Island, their numbers were roughly above several thousand. They were creatures that cultivators did not like dealing with at all, but to the water illusion fairy, this was a perfect training goal. The girl hefted her spear. Not enough, this little number of them is far from enough. It appears that I must have you feel that you have suffered humiliation. The water illusion fairy softly said and flew out. The heavenly Fong snake demons stared with those frightening pupils, hissing, brandishing their claws. Zhang Feiyu smiled from nearby and appreciated this sight for the eyes. The spear lifted, and a rain of blood fell. After a short while, the island was left with close to 50 heavenly Fong sea snake corpses on the island, and the girl was untouched, unstained by even a speck of blood. Bravo, bravo! She suddenly heard clapping. The water illusion fairy froze, and she suddenly whirled around. On a cliff, out walked a man and two women, somewhat glaring under the sunlight. The one clapping was that man. The girl's spectacle just now was witnessed by them, and Su Xing was considerably impressed. Little sister, you finally came. Elder sister was impatient. Zhang Feiyu said. They jumped down. Suddenly, the water illusion fairy was shaken. Her gaze stared fixedly at Su Xing. The indifference and stiffness she maintained before vanished into thin air in the blink of an eye. Her pupils shrunk, and her shoulders abruptly began to shudder. Shiyu? Zhang Yuqi was puzzled. The water illusion fairy bit her lip and stared at Su Xing. Her chest seemed to be crammed full of air, stifled and incapable of breathing. It is him. How could it be him? Looking at that smile, how could the water illusion fairy ever forget? Every sort of sentiment that had been buried in her heart suddenly bubbled forth. Her eyes carelessly grew moist. Shiyu? Zhang Feiyu opened her mouth. Did she not say that she was only meeting the man? Shiyu lowered her face and wiped her eyes. When she lifted her head, she had recovered her unchanging coldness. Su Xing felt that he had seen her somewhere before, but for the time being he could not recall. However, seeing the young girl's dignified appearance, he probably had seen too many beautiful women and was feeling somewhat familiar. Su Xing did not mind and nodded, not forgetting to introduce himself with courtesy. Hello, your servant is Su Xing. Long have I heard of the water illusion fairy's fame. You can just call me Shiyu. Shiyu said, her voice inadvertently warming up. This sounded very jarring to Zhang Feiyu. Su Xing actually noticed that the water illusion fairy before him was far from as ice-cold and distant as Zhang Yuqi had said. She even appeared to be somewhat bashful, quite cute. Shiyu, Zhang Feiyu reminded. Elder sister must have told the water illusion fairy about our situation. Yuqi wonders if whether or not the water illusion fairy can help us a little. Zhang Yuqi smiled. Willing. Very willing. Extremely willing. Shiyu directly cried out in her heart, but she still forced herself to calm down. She could not forget her manners. Thinking, she said, I want to see Su Xing's strength. Zhang Yuqi and Hun Yangzi looked to Su Xing. This was within expectations. Su Xing did not feel surprised, and he nodded his head in acquiescence. I am called Shiyu. You have taken a good look at me now. Shiyu said to Su Xing. Su Xing nodded. Shiyu shook her head. Very strange. Elder sister, what's the matter with her? Zhang Yuqi felt this was odd. I do not know. Zhang Feiyu shrugged her shoulders. She giggled. Perhaps the man you fancy is very enticing, enough to make her change her ideas. We were even in conflict just now. So strange. Strange indeed. Su Xing, do not make me disappointed. The water illusion fairy's words had a double meaning. Just a light spar? Su Xing asked. The water illusion fairy seemed to want to ask something, but nevertheless she stopped. The next second, the water illusion fairy showed her spear, carving an ice-cold light in the air. Before Su Xing could have time to reflect, a cold net ripped it apart. Bearing the weight of the water illusion fairy's full power attack, there were no gaps at all, no cracks at all. The frozen air was ripped apart by a cold spear light, emitting a faint whistle. The spear tip so close at hand was like a bloodthirsty Fong. Suddenly, it was in front of Su Xing's eyes. What he noted more nevertheless was that slight warmth in the girl's gaze. That warmth in her eyes was something strange that flowed fully over his body. Su Xing felt very odd. He noticed the spear appeared mighty, yet it did not have that soaring killing intent. The next instant, Su Xing made his move. Time between the two seemed to freeze. The water illusion fairy nodded, carrying slight praise. Not bad. You are a bit stronger than before. Before? Su Xing shrugged his shoulders, not understanding her word choice. Suddenly, man and sword shot over together, beginning a counterattack. Will you complete the second attack? The water illusion fairy softly said. The next instant, following his hacking motion, a several 100-meter-wide purple thunder shot out from his palm. It directly pounced towards water illusion fairy Shiyu. The latter hastily withdrew, raising her spear to defend. Instantly, following the cover of Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder, Su Xing's silhouette once again slashed. This time, the sharp edge broke through the water illusion fairy's defenses without slowing down at all. The water illusion fairy was considerably surprised by Su Xing's body techniques. But her next movement similarly made Su Xing incomparably surprised. The water illusion fairy's white figure disappeared like a phantom. The next second, that weapon already blocked Su Xing's attack path, hooked, stabbed, and unexpectedly counterattacked. His excellent skill and technique immediately allowed the Su Xing that had seized the initiative to immediately sense that the young girl was not simple. The second spear still was executed by the water illusion fairy. They exchanged attacks at a speed that could not be followed by the naked eye, and the battling pair roamed about the entire sea area. From time to time, the air was brought over by a sharp slash, then immediately letting out a sharp and miserable wretched ripping sound. The luminous sparks and bounding afterimages appeared excessively dazzling in the eyes of the other star generals. These two are actually somewhat compatible. The spear's edge gracefully glimpsed, and Su Xing blocked it. In the next instant his left hand's fingers snapped, launching purple thunder. The water illusion fairy spun, her clothes spry and lively. The sword in Su Xing's hand moved, and the killing intent scraped out of the air was then pared away, attached to the tip of his sword. Su Xing gripped his sword as he scampered away, his body like a roaming dragon, his two legs pumping fast to the point they were a blur. Metal clanged. A hurricane and killing intent fluttered in succession. Practically before they could return to their senses, the two of them were already carrying out a battle. The exchanges of sword and spear could even be called extraordinarily fierce. White light burst with light rays like chains. Purple thunder and wind interwove in the air, raising a scene beautiful to the extreme, and in the middle of this extremely beautiful scene, Zhang Yuqi, Hunyangzi and Zhang Feiyu had already forgotten that the scene before them was a competition. Shiyu spun and attacked repeatedly, her figure coming across like wind. Have you really forgotten me? Shiyu spoke. Have we met before? Su Xing wrinkled his brow, taking a step back. Suddenly he raised his sword, having noticed a gap. Su Xing quickly closed in, his hands seizing the water illusion fairy's white wrist. Immediately afterwards, he pressed his sword against the young girl's delicate neck. Who could have anticipated that water illusion fairy Shiyu would be grabbed by Su Xing? Who knew whether or not this was the first time she was so close to a man or if she was actually powerless, but she instantly fell powerlessly backwards, laying against Su Xing's chest. Her eyes glimmered, both unangry and unresentful. Her cheeks were the color of peach blossoms, with an abundance of tender sentiments. Su Xing was flabbergasted. What sort of expression is this? Don't you think she looks a bit love-struck? Shall we continue? Su Xing wrinkled his brow. His hand flexed, about to push the girl aside. How could he have foreseen that Shiyu would grab the corners of his clothes, not allowing him to do so? Su Xing, at that time in Flower Dragon Cave, you saved me. Did you really forget? Shiyu whispered. Did I save you at Flower Dragon Cave? Su Xing could not recall. The sole memory was the Gong Kai Wei stricken with the dragon's fluids. You gave me a water escape talisman. Shiyu did not give up at all. Opening up chapter 44 Blood Rain Pot, Su Xing suddenly recalled, It's you. Shiyu nodded, full of tender feelings, gently biting her lip. To Su Xing, that day was perhaps merely slight effort, but to Shiyu, this nevertheless had a very serious effect. In fact, among the star cultivators that took killing and plundering people to be mainstream, That action of Su Xing's that was done in passing was a bit non-mainstream in meaning. However, what made Shiyu never forget was that Su Xing gave her his own life-saving talisman, without even asking for her name. On that day, Shiyu engraved Su Xing into her heart. Unexpectedly, after thinking of him day and night, feelings for him blossomed after a long time. She did not know when, but her feelings for him were already very deep. Others knew that the water illusion fairy was haughty and careful of her appearance. How could they have known that the fairy's heart already had feelings? Heaven has finally heard Shiyu's prayers and today allowed Shiyu to be able to once again meet Milord. 2. Shiyu's tender feelings were sincere, not concealing her joy. She did not have a bit of her arrogant indifference from just a moment ago. Shiyu is willing to follow Milord to the ends of the world. What kind of irregular development is this? The Su Xing that had only ever wooed the girl was rendered stunned by her outrageous declaration. He turned stern, pushing Shiyu away from his chest. Little sister, the man you fancy is certainly debauched. He has surprisingly dared to take advantage of the water illusion fairy. Zhang Feiyu was discontent. Zhang Yuqi and Hun Yangzi could not understand. The two were definitely competing. How could they have been fighting and then suddenly turn into a soft and warm scene from Romance of the West Chamber? However, at this time, Su Xing's expression clearly was somewhat unable to bear this. Feiyu, you cannot be rude to the benefactor who saved my life. Shiyu looked straight at Su Xing. The benefactor who saved your life? The three girls were all stunned. Su Xing, when did you have a fling with the water illusion fairy? Zhang Yuqi was stunned. Shiyu, could it be he is the man who saved you originally? Zhang Feiyu was dumbstruck, her mouth open in an O shape. Shiyu nodded. Shiyu, you must look clearly, how can he possibly be? Anyway, Zhang Feiyu looked. Su Xing was not like that sort of good person. How can Shiyu forget? Shiyu has waited for Milord already for a very long time. Water illusion fairy was passionate, stepping forward. The figure blocked her way. Hun Yangzi could not stand any more, bluntly saying, do not confuse Nyangzi's dear husband. Water illusion fairy Shiyu threw an inquisitive glance at Su Xing. That day, I saved you only because you were still alive. I have never thought of making you call me Milord, Su Xing seriously replied. Although the water illusion fairy was like a beautiful woman from a dream, Su Xing actually was very disinterested in the you saved my life, so I should give my heart to you plot. This is my wife. Su Xing pulled Hun Yangzi close to him. Bright star 10 feet of blue was taken aback. She did not resist, allowing herself to become a wife obediently laying on his chest. My Shiyu looking upon you is your fortune. You still dare use all sorts of excuses. You do not know what is good for you, I ought to fuck you up. Zhang Feiyu saw Shiyu's heart shatter. Immediately, she seethed in anger, raising her flaming fish king saber and about to slash. Elder sister. Zhang Yuqi hastily held back the impulsive boatman. Su Xing did not mind her, only concentrating on water illusion fairy Shiyu. Has my wife treated Milord rudely? Shiyu was heartbroken. You have to know that men are actually very lowly beneath the skin. The more unattainable something is, the more they want it. The more granted something is, the less they want it. So, you better still be a bit more reserved. Su Xing helplessly said. The Hun Yangzi against his chest froze. Not good. It seemed he had carelessly mentioned Hun Yangzi's sore spot. Wife, this is only to show Shiyu. Don't take it to heart, dear husband likes you very much. Su Xing used sound transmission. Even if you're loathsome, Nyangzi will not hate dear husband. Hun Yangzi silently said. Su Xing's eyes rolled. Suddenly, he hooked Hun Yangzi's chin. Just as the girl was somewhat embarrassed, Su Xing lowered his head and kissed her red lips, washing clean away that grief in her eyes. The irascible Zhang Feiyu was flabbergasted. Because she had seen a blowjob, Zhang Yuqi actually was not very reactive. The kiss ended, and the girl seemed to have blossoms on her cheeks, tender and lovely. This made Su Xing's heart frisky like a monkey, his mind cantering like a horse. Su Xing then earnestly said to Shiyu, what's happened is in the past. If you treat your rescue as affection, then doesn't me saving you appear to be selfish? Don't treat it as such anymore. This time, Zhang Feiyu was not irritated. She merely remained perplexed after much thought to be able to decline the water illusion fairy's beauty. When did this man begin using his upper body to think? Little sister, this is actually a star master? Elder sister, absolutely true. Now you believe in little sister's eyesight. Zhang Yuqi proudly said. Fresh. Zhang Feiyu licked her lips. After she listened to Su Xing's words, she pondered. She looked at Su Xing's earnest expression, nevertheless her heart was even more frisky, her feelings even more chaotic and crazed. She nodded. Then the matter of our cooperation? Su Xing asked. So long as milord does not avoid my wife. First, change that address. When he bade farewell to the water illusion fairy, Shi had still wanted to follow Su Xing together. However, Su Xing again and again turned her down in order to dismiss the idea. He merely completed negotiations on the time of their cooperation, even leaving several thousandly sound transmission talismans. Only then did she reluctantly part. Truly, a girl changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. Su Xing currently still had an incredulous feeling. Young Su is honestly a man with stories to tell. Zhang Yuqi cast sidelong glances at Su Xing. The famed and renowned water illusion fairy surprisingly has long held deep feelings for you. If anyone else knew, they would absolutely want your life. I myself forgot about it. Su Xing shook his head. Flower Dragon Cave was already a very long-gone affair. If it was not for this reminder, he honestly would have forgotten his own act of virtue. Even so, it's good. This way, the water illusion fairy counts as young Su's people. Obtaining the good fortune pill is even more certain. Zhang Yuqi smiled, very satisfied with this sort of outcome. There's still some time for the following. What plans do you have? Su Xing asked her. Yuqi naturally is preparing for Black Turtle Temple. At that time, we will meet again. Zhang Yuqi waved her hand and winked. Next time we meet, Yuqi wonders if maybe she will have the honor to see Nyangzi give a blowjob. Do you want me to instruct you? Su Xing grinned evilly. Zhang Yuqi giggled, then seemed to turn into a fish, escaping into the sea. The white stripe in the waves very quickly disappeared from their sight. Wife, let's go back to. We should prepare for Black Turtle Temple. Su Xing said. As you wish. Next day, just as Hunyangzi was cleaning her sabers, the tranquility of the immortal's abode suddenly had a ripple. Hunyangzi immediately raised her double sabers as a precaution, and a simple and elegant little girl entered the void immortal's abode. Spotting Hunyangzi, she blinked. The bright star stared with wide eyes. Who are you? State your name? Gongsun Huang did not answer, strolling leisurely into the main hall. Discourteous. When Hunyangzi saw Gongsun Huang turn a deaf ear, she immediately charged. Sparks flew in all directions. Magic energy blocked Hunyangzi's double sabers. Bright Star, seeing the golden wind morning dew double sabers, Gongsun Huang was perplexed. Little Huang, you're back. Su Xing at this time walked out from his bedroom. Hearing Su Xing's voice, Hunyangzi immediately retracted her belligerence. Your Highness. Gongsun Huang's figure flashed, and light as a feather, she landed on Su Xing's shoulder. Introductions. This is Little Huang, the leisure star. You are dragon in the clouds? Hunyangzi was astonished. She did not dare believe that the number one in magic energy, the ranked fourth elder sister, would surprisingly be so young. Bright Star 10 feet of blue, your 10th sister. Su Xing rubbed his nose. Gongsun Huang nodded, casting a courteous glance at Hunyangzi. Did you not find Tang Tang? Su Xing was somewhat disappointed when he did not see Bai Yutong's figure. Little Huang found her, but she was not willing to come back. Gongsun Huang's voice was gentle as a breeze. Her mama wants your highness to go pick her up personally. She said she wants to see your highness' sincerity. Mama? She also has a mama? Su Xing fainted. Gongsun Huang gently nodded, her expression saying, Little Huang wanted to forcefully bring her back. I actually did not think this through too thoroughly. Su Xing made little Huang go pick up Bai Yutong only because he was worried about her safety. Add on that Bai Yutong was a star general, there should not have been a problem. That Bai Yutong had a mama made him very surprised. Could it be that she was a maternal aunt or the like? Su Xing thought about it. The request the opposite party made was not unreasonable, and now that time was plentiful, it was fine to personally go pick her up. Wife, you're just a bit off from your star weapons 4-star? There's an astral bag here with some things inside. Go to the Black Turtle territory and find some marketplaces, see if you can exchange for some things. Su Xing tossed an astral bag to Hunyangzi. Without even thinking, Hunyangzi tossed it right back. Nyangzi is dear husband star general, how can Nyangzi leave your side? Am I not without danger? And I even have little Huang accompanying me. I'm only going to pick up Bai Yutong. Su Xing smiled. With Black Turtle Temple at hand, we have to race against time to increase our strength. These words nevertheless had no use against Hunyangzi. Nyangzi's star weapon does not need these few days. Nyangzi's decision is already made. Nyangzi absolutely will not leave dear husband's side. Hunyangzi was resolute. Gongsun Huang cocked her head, considerably curious as she sized up Hunyangzi. So it's like this, that's fine. Su Xing helplessly looked at Gongsun Huang. Little Huang could not help but faintly smile. Gu Tong was considerably gloomy. She pointed at the new heavenly phoenix perched on the roof and asked, "Can one of you help me drive this bird away?" Li Balian and the others shook their heads, using hopeful gazes. "Mistress, this is but the new heavenly phoenix, the number 2 star beast on the star beast list. We cannot defeat it." Li Balian's martial force was weak, so it was excusable that she could say such disheartening words. Female Tiger Gu Tong asked Xinyue and Zhou Ke, "What about you?" They shook their heads. "Shuangfei, could it be that you are also powerless?" Gu Tong asked the young girl wearing black skin-tight clothing. Several dozen darts appeared in the girl's hands. She giggled. "If mistress is willing, this great sage can use fingers linked to heart. However, this great sage cannot guarantee against this new heavenly phoenix. You actually can run, then the spring breeze drunken rain pavilion would be destroyed." Gu Tong saw that she could not rely on the sky-soaring great sage. Looking at that imposing and mighty phoenix, she gnashed her teeth. The imposing aura this new heavenly phoenix emitted was honestly too powerful, making the other cultivators not dare to enter. It had been an entire day, and there was no business. Gu Tong might as well close for the day. This old lady actually wants to see just what sort of person that man is. Gu Tong said to Bai Yutong, "Teng, remember this. If that man uses any forceful means on you, you absolutely cannot surrender, know that? We star maidens would prefer a starfall to that, and without any reluctance." Bai Yutong nodded, seemingly understanding yet seemingly not. For an elder sister like Gongsun Huang to care for Teng Teng, that is pretty good. Shi Meng leaned against the guardian stone lion, speaking absent-mindedly. "However, mistress, if that man truly is coming to pick up Teng Teng, what should we do?" Li Balian giggled. She then grabbed a white wine bottle, the sound of drinking echoed, and a dense white mist hovered. Gu Tong muttered, answering, "We sisters shall give him a test." "But what if he does not accept?" Xinyue closed one eye, butting in with a laughable interjection. These words stumped Gu Tong. If the opposing party actually did not accept, they could not defeat him either. "We would rather burn both jade and common stone. We will not let him exploit Tang Tang. Sister, how do you feel?" "Whatever. Fine either way." "Interesting." Not one of them shrunk back, even if they were fully aware of the consequences of them destroying everything was that they would entirely break down. "Mama." Tang Tang widened her full eyes, somewhat unable to bear this. "Mama will never let a star master exploit you." Gu Tong made her decision. The 6 star maidens began to each discuss Gongsun Huang, the topics of some trials for her master. At nightfall, the new heavenly phoenix suddenly straightened its graceful body, spread its beautiful wings and let out a phoenix cry. "He has come." Shi Meng put away her indolent attitude. In the sky, a young man came riding the wind. On his shoulder sat an exceedingly refined little girl. When the new heavenly phoenix saw its mistress, it flapped its wings and flew over. The expressions of Gu Tong and the others were grave. Each of them had their star weapons in hand, their palms unable to help sweating. Su Xing gently landed in front of the restaurant. He was a bit astonished to see the beauties in front of him. He had thought of taking in Tong Tong's elder sisters and Mama, but he did not think there would be so many. Including Tang Tang, this spring breeze drunken rain pavilion had at least 7 star maidens. Papa! Tong Tong's voice was like cotton candy, spreading her arms towards Su Xing. Gu Tong hastily stopped her baby bird from casting itself into the forest. Su Xing's brows could not help but wrinkle. He cupped his fist. Your servant is Su Xing and has come to pick up Tang Tang. Your servant has offended everyone. Gu Tong stiffened her face, speaking with displeasure. So it is you who used flowery words to deceive Tang Tang? Your servant is genuine and sincere, that is all. Su Xing said, taking a step forward. The other star maidens immediately stretched their bodies taut, like tigers on the hunt, glaring at prey. Su Xing smiled. There's no need to be so battle-ready. If I honestly had the heart to hurt Tang Tang against 6 star maidens, what star master would pay no heed? With Gong Sun Huang present, Gu Tong and the others naturally had no way to retort, but the female tiger was not willing to give up. Since you said you want to protect Tang Tang, then this old Tonger asks you, can you actually contract Tang Tang? Gu Tong solemnly said. But of course. Su Xing nodded. I'll sign a contract with Tang Tang right now. Mistress, this is a good idea. Li Balian seductively turned her head around. Gu Tong glared at her. Su Xing's very self-confident reply made the female tiger somewhat skeptical. However, we cannot believe a star master's words at all. If you truly wish to sign a contract with Tang Tang, do you dare to accept the trial we will give you? Gu Tong and the others acted as Tong Tong's elder sisters and Mama. To test him, Su Xing did not feel this was odd, but recently, time was somewhat short. Su Xing did not wish to give rise to too many troublesome twists and turns. Let's hear it first, if it's not too excessive. Gu Tong looked around at the other sisters. We will each give you one test. If you can pass, then you can contract her. You ought to know that if I can't pass that I won't actually give up either. Su Xing smiled and said, Su Xing, what you said is honestly very direct. However, Balian likes this sort of man. Li Balian licked her lips, very alluring. Could it be that you do not even have the courage to dare try? Gu Tong glared at him. This old lady is willing to hand her daughter over to you. Could it be you cannot pay the bridal price 7 times? Su Xing laughed. You've made this seem like you're marrying off your daughter. Sure. Although he felt this was rather strange, he still nodded his head and agreed. Was there anything not permissible with allowing these elder sisters to test him? This old lady has fed you all for such a long time, yet you still do not go obstruct him, make this star master lower his head. Gu Tong glared at them. First is me, Shermeng said in a low voice, a peculiar luster flashing past her eyes. Do you mind if I take a look at your identity? Su Xing said. While she was still bewildered, a golden book flew out. Birth treasure outline. The girls were shocked. Star position, ugly star. 2, star name, Shi Yong. 3, nickname, stone general true name, Shermeng. 5, rank, 99th star weapon, cloud-piercing rock-splitting boxing gloves. 6, 3 star, star beast, stone swan and eye. 7, realm, 1000 militaries. 8 stage innate skill, petrification skin. 8, 5 elements, earth yellow rank special move, landslide. 9, dark rank special move, rock breaking sky shocking. 10, current status, no contractor, can be conquered, detailed materials. So you're the stone general. Hey, mistress, he surprisingly has the birth treasure outline. The other star maidens thought they had gone blind. They blinked with all of their strength, making certain that golden book was in fact the most precious valuable asset of the second phase birth treasure outline, the treasure capable of seeing all of the materials of the star maidens. How could they have expected this sort of treasure would unexpectedly appear before them? However, when they remembered Dragon in the Clouds Gong Sun Huang, they then somewhat understood. Shi Meng's eyelids jumped. How do you want to test me? Su Xing asked. I heard little Ku said in Evil Smiting Hall that Zhou Ku could not deal with you? Shi Meng gazed at the single-horned dragon. That was luck. Su Xing modestly said. Shi Meng felt the same. For a Star Master to think of besting a Star General in close combat basically was an idiot daydreaming. Maybe if they had some powerful magic weapon on them, or perhaps of some other talents, but hearing Zhou Ku say this, the man before her completely used martial arts like those of a Star General. Across all of the Star duels, only majestic Star Panther head Lin Chang's innate skill could allow a Star Master to achieve this, but Shi Meng certainly did not believe that Su Xing would contract two top-notch Star Generals the likes of the Majestic Star and the Leisure Star. How about this? So long as you can receive my rock-breaking sky-shocking, then your servant shall acknowledge you. How do I receive it? Could it be your servant just lets you punch once? Su Xing smiled. Exactly. Before she even finished, without any warning, Shi Meng violently brandished her fist. The punch was powerful, with an explosive sound. In the instant her punch lashed out, the ground beneath her immediately received pressure and unexpectedly pressed down into a giant hole. Rock-breaking sky-shocking. It was like a cannonball. Su Xing's eyes narrowed. He long already had taken precautions, and taking a step backwards, his steps were like smoke and mist, mysterious beyond compare. This punch of the rock-breaking sky-shocking directly boom with a destructive power that reached several dozen zhang, but it nevertheless could only bring about minor injuries to Su Xing, this somewhat ungenerous. Su Xing shrugged his shoulders. Shi Meng was stunned. She never expected that Su Xing's vigilance would be so high. Her sudden use of a dark rank unexpectedly had been evaded. Now that you have made your move, do you still wish to test me? Su Xing calmly asked, patting Gong Sun Huang's leg. The dragon in the clouds understood tacitly, floating into the air and away. Your servant can use her dark rank twice. There is another one. Her fair skin turned into stone, and Shi Meng was already full of fighting intent. The air suddenly gave rise to a giant explosion. Instantly, Su Xing's figure quickly disappeared from sight. The shrill scream of ripping air poured out, and a hurricane from who knew when suddenly appeared behind ugly Star Stone General Shi Meng. In this ear-splitting shriek, it drew a perfect line. What swift speed! Shi Meng's expression focused. She could not have thought that the speed of the Star Master in front of her was quick to this degree. His figure was a blur. In that instant, Shi Meng could only lean half to the side in time. Her stone-like fingers suddenly slashed out 5 trails of blade-like killing intent. Her wrist quickly flipped over repeatedly, and the air suddenly let out a series of ringing noises. It was as if there really were rocks colliding with each other. Poignant sparks flickered one after another, surprisingly combining into one. Su Xing took a step back, surprised to see Shi Meng could unexpectedly receive this attack. It had to be noted that his strike was using full power, and he thought this attack could force Shi Meng into using rock-breaking sky-shocking. The girl's petrified skin was more powerful than magic weapon armor. Su Xing felt his fist was a bit hurt. Do not underestimate me. Shi Meng's pupils turned white, suddenly clutching her fist and charging. Su Xing smiled. He thoughtfully waved a hand, and the purple mansion immortal thunder in his fingers seemed to shake off the restrictions of any rules. Flying in like a wisp of smoke, it was fast to the point it made people incapable of clearly seeing his speed's constant fluctuations. Everything moved within 1 square CUN. Suddenly, the purple mansion immortal thunder already covered all of the places Shi Meng could go. A silhouette rushed out. Shi Meng was completely unharmed. This innate skill was powerful. Su Xing was slightly astonished. If he was to talk about boxing, he actually was not the slightest bit inferior. With the majestic star's battle doctrine, the bright star's light smoke dance steps and the skillful star's boxing arts combined together, the current Su Xing practically could make earthly stars feel envy. However, Su Xing had no way to contend against the star weapons that star generals were intensely proud of. In a direct confrontation, this was absolutely not a good result. Su Xing used the protective armor ability of the Earth Book on his body, and then he stepped in, his figure like a whirlwind as he tangled together with Shimeng. The female tiger Gu Tong and the rest of the girls to the side were practically dumbfounded. This Star Master unexpectedly is capable of contending against Shimeng. Stone General Shimeng's martial force was not necessarily very high, but relying on her defensive innate skill petrification skin and her cloud-piercing rock-splitting boxing technique, she still could hold an extreme advantage in facing a Star Master. In the past, the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion was met with the provocations of many star cultivators, and Shimeng was but an enormous help against them. Although they heard Single-Horn Dragon Zoku say that Su Xing was formidable, they did not actually take this to heart at all. Now that they saw Su Xing was unexpectedly capable of locking Shimeng in battle, they were shaken. The birth treasure outline. Could he be that purple thunder monster? Xinyue thoughtfully said. Inside the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion, they naturally heard plenty of information. Even with Gu Tong and the others not meticulously listening in, they still knew a lot. Among those people discussed the most were the Black Turtle Territory's Great Saint Star Killer and the Azure Dragon Territory's Purple Thunder Monster. The former counted as the Devil Star Palace's second to none Star Master. The rumor was that he cultivated a transforming star of annihilation devil cultivation method. He possessed a top-notch martial force star general and was the pride of the Black Turtle Territory. Meanwhile, the latter was even more bizarre. He unexpectedly contracted the majestic star Lin Chong, who had never signed a contract in 1,000 years, and he had once made the Azure Dragon Territory's alliance of 10 engage him in a chase to kill. In the end, he even brought about the name of Purple Thunder Saint. This was odd enough to come from a book. Lin Chong never signed a contract for 1,000 years, mostly because of her battle doctrine innate skill. To be clear, this innate skill's growth was extremely frightening, capable of contending against star generals in martial arts. Lin Chong did not seek out a master so as to avoid making this sort of innate skill turn into a Star Master disaster that harmed the sisters. However, no one could speak of a clear reason why she would now contract the Purple Thunder Monster. But if Su Xing truly had the battle doctrine innate skill, then everything displayed before them was reasonable. That should not be. Star Masters can only contract 2 stars. He already has Leisure Star Dragon in the clouds. Since he is so confident in contracting Tang Tang, then he should not have a contract with her. If he is truly the Purple Thunder Monster, then Lin Chong should be right beside him. Gu Tong analyzed. Yes. Xingyue nodded. However, this man is so strong. Li Balian twisted her hips. Balin, now is not the time to be in heat. Gu Tong bluntly said. It looks like Su Xing has paid the first bridal price. Shimeng is about to be beaten. Li Balian was charming. Xinyue, in a moment, you will go test him. Gu Tong seriously said. You definitely have to grasp clearly just what this man's origins are. This old lady certainly does not wish to turn Tang Tang over to a weird uncle of unclear background. Xinyue nodded, an expression of, leave it to me. Mama. Tang Tang bit her fingertip, unable to bear this. There is no need to worry, Mama will help you judge him. Gu Tong consoled her. In the restaurant's plaza, the figures of Su Xing and Shimeng intersected. Both sides did not give the other any chance to stop for breath. The powerful battle aura was surging like the ocean. The air of the entire plaza sunk into a terrible, stifled state. Striking with swiftness, under this kind of unusual atmosphere, the battle between the two surprisingly evolved into a battle of speed. Shimeng's petrification skin possessed powerful defense, but whenever Su Xing attacked, her innate skill was unable to demonstrate too great a use. An indistinct figure moved at high speed, the wind pressure rolling with a roar. Streams of air ripped apart the ground, and the ground showed the intensity of a kind of battle. How this instant, the Shimeng at the center tasted an unbelievable shock at the tip of her tongue. Although she had already completed her preparations, knowing that this Star Master was very strong, she did not expect he would show this degree. For the first time, Shi Meng's confidence appeared to waver. Very quickly, Shi Meng already could not keep up with Su Xing's tempo. Her petrification skin that possessed powerful defensive strength also had a fatal flaw. It would encumber her speed. As a battle dragged on, this type of consequence was increasingly obvious. A series of gaps that appeared informed Shi Meng that she necessarily was in a final fight. "Hey!" Shi Meng shouted, making herself recover an imposing aura. Regardless of what she did, the first thing was that she had to maintain her confidence. If her confidence disappeared, then she definitely would lose. She suddenly leapt, her body drawing an arc that pounced down on Su Xing. Su Xing's light smoke dance steps were graceful to the finest stage, his every movement displaying a sort of comfortable ease. Purple thunder manifested as a net. A rumbling crushing sound rolled the purple thunder net into pieces. Shi Meng was suddenly in front of him, her second punch attacking, rock-breaking, sky-shocking. The air seemed to be linked with rumbling thunder, ripping apart people's eardrums. If he could dodge, Su Xing naturally would not foolishly receive this. He long already anticipated her punch, and Su Xing slid backwards, snapping out a purple mansion immortal thunder. The rock-breaking sky-shocking directly broke apart the purple thunder. At this moment, Shi Meng suddenly changed. The tip of her foot kicked at Su Xing's chin. Su Xing was sharp-sighted and deft. During his slide, he quickly ducked in, raising his chin to scrape by Shi Meng's kick, and his right hand suddenly grabbed Shi Meng's ankle. Shi Meng was astonished. Su Xing did not give her any chance to react. With a great lunge, he fiercely swung down by means of his powerful strength. Shi Meng's stone body seemed to become a shot-put ball that acted as Su Xing's throwing items. Instantly, she shot over with a whistle. The extremely high speed brought an extremely large kinetic energy that was thrown out. When she was about to smash into the building, suddenly, a silhouette quickly scuttled over, and with a light grab, as if hugging the moon, she pushed Shi Meng's extreme weight back. Shi Meng stood up, cutting a sorry figure. She looked at Su Xing, her teeth tightly grit. With the second use of her rock-breaking sky-shocking, according to their arrangements, Shi Meng could only concede defeat. Phew, fortunately elder sister learned a rescue move. Xingyue wiped away her sweat, heaving a sigh. Su Xing looked at her hand that appeared considerably out of the ordinary. It appeared that she was also a formidable martial general. "Can you tell your servant, from where did your distinguished self learn martial arts?" Xingyue walked over. Su Xing looked at her open tube top, which was very bold. "This is all thanks to my wife teaching me right." Su Xing did not hide anything. "Wife?" Xingyue thoughtfully stroked her chin. "Your servant is somewhat curious about your wife, to unexpectedly be able to instruct someone on contending against us star generals. Could she be the previous Wu Song?" Xingyue smiled. Su Xing shrugged his shoulders, declining to comment. "What's the next trial?" Su Xing asked. "Hero, do you not want to rest? How about if Balian pours you a cup of love wine?" Li Balian cast a flirty glance. Su Xing warmly smiled at her. "No need, I don't want to waste too much time." "Good, allow your servant for the second trial." Xingyue stroked the air, and a long saber appeared in her hand. Su Xing opened the birth treasure outline. Star position, number star, 2, star name, Sun Exon, 3, nickname, Little Yuchi true name, Sun Xingyue, 5, rank, 100 star weapon, Grazing Deer Full Moon Saber, 6, 3 star, Star Beast, Grazing Deer, 7, realm, 10,000 techniques 4th stage innate skill, Poison and Disease Immunity, 8, 5 elements, Wood Yellow rank special move, Glancing Back 1/9, Dark rank special move, Moon Gazing 1 Psi, 10, current status, no contractor, can be conquered, detailed materials. Go easy. Xingyue smiled. This kind of bridal gift is too conventional, can I exchange it? Su Xing honestly did not want to fight her. This will not do at all. Sun Xingyue's shoulders drew back. Her top slid down, revealing tube top bound only with bandages, her jutting twin peaks attracting the eyes. How do we settle this? Su Xing asked. Receive my 10 slashes. 10 slashes? Su Xing nodded. Are you ready? Sun Xinyue was considerably ladylike in demeanor. Her index finger seized the saber's hilt as she asked with a slight smile. Come on, I'll just treat you as a sparring partner. Su Xing scratched his head. To be able to make a star general act as a sparring partner, you certainly are a fortunate man. Sun Xinyue smiled and said, if she knew that Su Xing had Lin Chong, Wu Song, Yan Qing and other top-notch star generals for training, perhaps she would not be able to make such a smile. Whoosh! A scarlet light ray flew out of her blade. It drew a beautiful arc in the air as she directly slashed toward Su Xing. Su Xing's fist clenched. With heaven tearing in hand, one slash easily slashed apart the saber light following these rays, shattering the saber light. Number star little Yuchi. Sun Xinyue's words came at the same time. The second slash. The saber's tip emerged, an imposing aura apparent, forcing Su Xing into being only able to retreat. The flowing red saber light touched Su Xing's arm, and immediately, a deep wound appeared. Bang! Su Xing retreated and defended, critically evading the sharp control of Sun Xinyue's blade. If this retreat was not timely, perhaps this instant, he would have already been seriously wounded. Such powerful saber technique. Su Xing resisted the urge to call out the flying swords. He had the thought to know Sun Xinyue's power, fearlessly forging onwards on his own. The third slash. Sun Xinyue's indifferent voice floated over, with a slightly pressured tone. In time that was no longer than the blink of an eye, Sun Xinyue's third slash came right along the return swing of the second slash. The attack style of maximum speed made Su Xing somewhat surprised. Saber light, cold iron, and a saber chi in a completely indescribable state already approached Su Xing's front. He was completely without any way to make evasive maneuvers, and the saber ruthlessly slammed into him. Bang! A crisp metallic resonance made Sun Xinyue's attack fall on nothing. A muffled harumph. The plaza immediately was crushed apart. A figure somersaulted out like a spinning top, unclear how many times it spun along the way. Wherever it passed, the wind and waves vigorously flew, rock fragments shooting everywhere. Earth spikes. Su Xing formed a hand seal. Countless enormous stone cones pierced out of the path he had retreated along like sharp blades, suddenly forming a long jungle of spikes. Sun Xinyue originally wanted to obtain instant success. She did not expect these earth spikes, drawing out her blade to shatter them. Fourth slash. The fourth slash was completely fruitless. Su Xing was like flowing water, leisurely falling back, directly making this fourth slash strike nothing. He drew a beautiful trajectory, descending back onto the plaza. Heaven tearing simultaneously counterattacked. The sword light transformed into a biting dragon. Su Xing still was steadfast in body. His face did not show the slightest bit of nervousness because of the instantaneous fierce battle, but the sleeves of his upper garment were already completely shredded, revealing the jade-like sparkling arms and a few bloody sword wounds that lay underneath, the wounds still leaking blood. Boom! Sun Xinyue caught it. She clearly knew the might of Su Xing's heaven-tearing swords, for she immediately prepared a defense to receive it. But immediately afterwards, Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder. A purple thunder drew down like rain, enveloping Sun Xinyue within. Su Xing pointed his hand, and the 12 flying swords did not hold back in their attack. 12 rays of sword light suddenly fired, mixing with the blood-red saber chi. Then, a figure flew out backwards. Astonishingly, it was little Yuchi Sun Xinyue. The girl's tube top already was scratched to tatters by the sword chi, revealing the erotic scene of those deep red dots that lay within, but Sun Xinyue completely did not care as she raised her arms. Now that she carefully scrutinized her front, her face suddenly showed a mocking smile. This smile gradually widened, finally turning into upwards-facing howling laughter. Ha ha ha! All of the girl were suddenly flabbergasted by what just happened. Gu Tong did not foresee that Su Xing could take the advantage in close combat contending against Xinyue, even injuring her. Any way it was put, Sun Xinyue was the spring breeze drunken rain pavilion's most brilliant. Completely ignoring Sun Xinyue's swift and severe saber chi, in such a short instant, he made a complete attack plan. From being spun around to the finishing blow, no more than an instant had passed. Su Xing has surprisingly made Sun Xinyue suffer hardship. These tricks stunned them. Oh, elder sister Xinyue's chest is about to be exposed. Shermeng gasped. Gu Tong wanted to remind her, but Sun Xinyue's fifth slash immediately executed after her mad laugh. An even more powerful baleful aura leaked out from the grazing deer full moon saber. The atmosphere seemed to fall to the freezing point, and those red rays were even more shocking. Sixth saber! Sun Xinyue coldly shouted, suddenly disappearing. A scarlet light once again hooked around. Incredible! Su Xing blocked. This time when he raised his hand, the heaven-tearing flying swords appeared and became a shield. There was metallic clanging, the two successively clashing. The intense killing intent was seemingly substantive. That pair of cold eyes seemed to pierce into Su Xing's chest. The instant they passed one another, Sun Xinyue suddenly shouted. Seventh slash, glancing back one slash. Su Xing's retinas were left with the image of a red saber. Soundlessly, a powerful to the extreme force already was before him. Cold light glinted in her eyes. The flying swords abruptly raised a defense in front. Su Xing surprisingly could not even evade. The star energy surrounding his body madly circulated, clearly showing that he wanted to directly take this on. Bang! The moment that power connected, instantly, two immense forces suddenly made a brief confrontation upon Su Xing's arms. The saber light erupted, and an explosive sound crashed. The cold blade was like a viper roaming over his body. The strength his body had accumulated bit by bit was instantly blown away without a trace. His footsteps staggered, and his entire person already was pushed back several paces. In front of him, the hard ground immediately was left with deep foot trails. His figure wobbled. Su Xing established his footing with great difficulty, his complexion already extremely astonished, his eyes endlessly flickering. With a muffled groan, a clear line of blood already quickly flowed out the corner of his mouth. Impossible! Xinyue's point-blank range glancing back one slash was unable to stop him? Gu Tong choked. On Su Xing's back, cold sweat and blood intersected. Without allowing him rest, Sun Xinyue's eighth slash already continued the attack. A dazzling red like a Japanese rose blossomed. Saber light then seemed to become a phantom. The instant her blade slashed, countless red hurricanes rose steeply, engulfing him at the center. If it was anyone else, they inevitably would have been torn apart to the extreme by this sudden and violent storm. Even if they did not die, they would be necessarily crippled. Even Su Xing was a bit distressed within this red storm. Bang! There was an intense explosion. Earthbook ability. At the instant Su Xing attacked, the saber wind that devastated the ground instantly disappeared without a trace. Not only this, all of the shards and dust that had been stirred up were simultaneously pressed onto the ground by a formless power. The entire space suddenly recovered clarity. Sun Xinyue was stunned. Looking at the fist at her stomach, she suddenly retreated several steps. While her body was still in the air, Sun Xinyue stalled. With a great shout, she spat out a ragged breath. Her fingers clenched her saber, her ninth slash already hacking downwards. Humph! Responding to Sun Xinyue with a cold snort, Su Xing raised one hand. The heaven-tearing flying swords formed a golden dragon that immediately transformed within the earth, turning seemingly into a cage that pounced towards Sun Xinyue. 10th slash, moon gazing. Sun Xinyue rushed out of heaven-tearing's encirclement. The final slash was the strongest and about to emerge. But how could Su Xing give her the chance? Letting a 10,000 techniques realm martial general use her dark rank, Su Xing feared that he would lose half his life. Although he could win against her, he did not think he would be cutting such a sorry figure. Su Xing's thinking was incomparably fast. Although those red blade lights were certainly terrifying, they were not at all invulnerable. After all, Sun Xingyue was only an earthly star marshal general, far from being able to contend against Lin Chong. In the end, there was a limit. Enduring the saber chi, after another dozen wounds deep enough to show bone appear on his body, Su Xing took the risk to pierce through Sun Xinyue's killing intent. He neatly leaned forward, and raising his head, the girl's naked breasts jiggled before him. As if Su Xing did not see her erotic sight, he wielded a very vigorous punch towards Sun Xinyue. Don't be too naive. The star energy in Sun Xinyue's left hand was hoisted like killing intent. Blood spattered everywhere. But Sun Xinyue had greatly underestimated Su Xing's fortitude. In the reflections of this earthly star marshal general, any way it was put, Su Xing was merely a star master. Using her own star energy, she could make this man shrink back. Then, another use of moon-gazing one side would obtain victory. This was the gap in her reflective pondering. Su Xing suddenly turned around, his body techniques wonderfully passing before Sun Xinyue's eyes. Disappearing from her sight, the girl was greatly astonished, and at this time, Su Xing already grabbed with both his hands at the same time. So soft. Su Xing's hands grabbed onto a clump of soft meat. Lowering his head to look, only then did he notice that he had grabbed onto a very startling place. Ah! Little Yuchi Sun Xinyue let out an ecstatic moan, amorous and mellow. Her pale face suddenly fluttered with red clouds. The 10th slash already was slashing from behind her without any ceremony. Su Xing's hands relaxed, and he immediately retreated, very easily evading this slash. Sun Xinyue still wanted to slash again. The 10th slash has already passed. Su Xing pointed a finger, and the flying swords revolved. Sun Xinyue stopped her steps. Her left hand covered her explosive chest, her right hand gripped her saber. In her eyes was slight bashfulness. Harumphing, she stowed her blade. Xinyue. The others rushed up, their expressions oddly staring at Sun Xinyue. Sun Xinyue nodded. She did not mention a word about that embarrassing event, merely saying, "He has enough shameless capabilities to protect Tang Tang." Hearing this evaluation, Su Xing very awkwardly smiled. "All's fair in war, Papa, drink worry-free without a care." A tender voice came over. Tang Tang already ran to Su Xing's front, her little hand carefully offering Dreamless. The Su Xing whose body was incredibly aching all over bubbled forth with warmth in his heart. Taking a drink, he pet her head. "Tang, Papa is about to come to carry you away. And Mama only wants the best for Tang Tang." Bai Yutong lowered her voice. Su Xing smiled as he pet her. Bai Yutong was very enraptured, like a kitten, very much in pleasure. "Who's next to receive your servant's bridal payment?" Su Xing asked. Gu Tong and the others looked at each other in dismay. Now that Shi Meng and Sun Xinyue had consecutively challenged him and returned without any achievement, this made Gu Tong shocked yet also vaguely a bit interested and vexed. "Zhou Ku, are you going to fight with him?" Gu Tong asked the Marshal General of the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion. "No need for me." Zhou Ku shook her head. It appeared she did not have any desire for Su Xing's bridal price. "Allow this great sage then." This great sage's flying darts are not to be trifled with. Sky-soaring great sage Li Gun, 11, giggled. Just as she was about to step forward, someone was even faster by a step. "Hero, this time, allow Balian to come attend to you." Li Balian licked her lips. An ash-colored robe outlined her very enticing curves. She twisted her serpentine waist, and she had an elegant countenance as she walked to Su Xing's front. "My daughter, has been. This is the first time Balian has tested a Star Master. Truly fascinating. The appearance of a man like you is very compatible with Balian's tastes. You can do, Balian just does not know how your other aspects are." Saying this, she took out a wine bottle of bubbling white qi. The air emitted a disgusting smell. "Balian shall not make things difficult for little handsome." 13. "So long as you drink this white bones wine, that will be all." Balian giggled. Su Xing wrinkled his brow, flipping out the birth treasure outline. Star position, slave star, 14, star name, Li Li nickname, life-taking judge, 16, true name, Libellion rank, 96 star weapon, Cold Night Desolate Kill, 17, 3 star, Star Beast, Xitigarba Butterfly, 18 realm, 10,000 techniques first stage innate skill, Poison Wine 5 elements, Fire Yellow rank special move, Moodless, 19, Dark rank special move, 3 strikes White Bones Wine, 20 current status, no contractor, can be conquered, detailed materials. To have me drink the life-taking judge's dark rank wine, am I on death row? Su Xing stared at her. Then what will you do? But Balian can only make some poison wine. Libellion said vexed. Then you shall drink moodless, how about it? Libellion then smiled. This wine will confuse your awareness, make you feel ill at ease. If your willpower is even slightly off, you will faint, losing consciousness. If you can maintain it, you will count it as having passed. A trial on willpower? Su Xing thought. This seemed to be his greatest expertise. To be able to blossom the meditative mind lotus flower, reach the peak of the heart like mirror, this little moodless naturally did not count as anything. Fine. Libellion's wine bottle shook, and the wine was already odorless. Will you actually drink? Gu Tong was suddenly somewhat nervous. What? If you want, we cannot do this trial? Su Xing leisurely said. Drink then. Su Xing grabbed the wine bottle. Sniffing it, it indeed was odorless. It did not seem poisoned, however. Su Xing's body had Suwen's detoxification pearl. Even if there was actually something toxic, by relying on the meditative mind lotus flower's karmic strength, he could dissolve it without a problem. Su Xing did not hesitate anymore, downing everything in one gulp. The wine glugged into his throat. In a split second, a clarity flowed through his whole body's meridians, his limbs and bones, and his organs. Boom! His heart resolutely pumped, and the blood vessels in his body opened and shut. An indescribable feeling immediately bubbled forth. This was truly a bit frightening. Su Xing hastily circulated the soul technique to clear this fantastical attack inside his body. His body nevertheless was somewhat unsteady. A warm and soft body hugged him from behind. This moodless is but very powerful. Libellion charmingly whispered, her chest rubbing against and tightly pressed into his back, just like a serpent. Gu Tong and the others were speechless. What time was it now, for her to still be flirting? Obediently go to sleep, Libellion licked Su Xing's earlobe. Her finger gently slid across, her expression flirtatious, but her words had an enchanting power. Combined with the moodless wine, it could display its use even better. When she saw Su Xing's eyes blur and lose focus, Libellion showed a complacent expression. A good wine. Su Xing suddenly opened his eyes, praising in satisfaction. You are unaffected? Libellion froze. Let alone that her moodless was only yellow rank. If it was ingested, a star cultivator was guaranteed to not wake for half a day. Even if Su Xing's cultivation was supercluster stage, he would need several hours. But from when Su Xing drank until now when he opened his eyes, not even a candlewick of time had passed. Even female tiger Gu Tong doubted whether or not Libellion had thrown. That's really too bad. Your servant Long has already stopped fearing losing his mind. Su Xing smiled. Libellion covered her mouth in extreme shock. The next bridal price shall be this great sage's. Sky-soaring great sage Li Gun impatiently walked out. Su Xing looked at her wearing a skin-tight black jumpsuit. Her figure was graceful, her eyes bright and lively, an unordinary air of experience. What did you think of? Su Xing asked her. Will you not see for yourself? The girl sharply glared at him. He shone the birth treasure outline at her. Star position, walking star name, Li Gun, 2, nickname, Sky-soaring great sage, 3, name, Li Shuangfei rank, 65th star weapon, Southern barbarian sword, 5, 2 star, autumn wind shield, 6, 1 star, dead leaves darts, 7, 3 star, star beast, sky-soaring carp, 8, realm, 10,000 techniques 5th stage innate skill, keenness, 9, 5 elements, fire yellow rank special move, autumn wind sweeps dead leaves, 10, dark rank special move, fingers linked to heart, 11 current. Status: no contractor, can be conquered, detailed materials. Sky-soaring great sage? Su Xing lifted his head and caught sight of Li Shuangfei smirking. In merely the blink of an eye, suddenly, walking star sky-soaring great sage's presence completely vanished. Right before she disappeared, she seemed to easily take away time and space. Su Xing smelled an ice-cold metallic scent, carrying a derisive commitment. A buzzing noise hummed. Can you dodge this great sage's flying darts? A black flying dart arrived at the tip of his nose. Su Xing's eyes still were searching for the master that fired this needle. It appeared that he completely did not treat the opponent's attack as the same thing. Until this dead leaves flying dart's tip practically touched his skin, only then did Su Xing slightly lean to the side. Rip. The sound of air tearing apart. Without any warning, another dead leaves flying darts attacked. This time, the difference was that the corner of Su Xing's eye only just glanced it when suddenly, that flying dart oddly accelerated en route, which was practically inconceivable. Su Xing felt a pinprick of pain at the tip of his nose. He felt the slight moisture of blood. He had not evaded. The sky-soaring great sage Li Shuangfei appeared 100 meters away, still wearing a smile. So long as you can dodge this great sage's 10 flying darts, this great sage shall acknowledge you. After 10 slashes is 10 flying darts. Truly, you have no creativity. Su Xing shook his head. Is that so? Li Shuangfei's hands each gripped 5 dead leaves flying darts. Slightly smiling, she leapt backwards, throwing them out. The 10 dead leaves flying darts suddenly shot out like screaming lightning, drawing an extraordinarily gorgeous trajectory. The speed was quick enough to make a person forget to breathe. The 10 dead leaves flying darts disappeared from Su Xing's eyes, and even their similarly ice-cold presences disappeared. As if they had severed their connection to space, he unexpectedly could not seize any sign of them. Dear husband, careful? Hu Sanyang warned. Su Xing's divine intent was unleashed, and then he felt a stinging pain. Whoosh! 10 flying darts already encircled Su Xing from 10 directions. The flying darts drew a mysterious arc that vaguely trapped him within. Dark rank technique, fingers linked to heart. Undodgeable. Su Xing immediately sensed the strong points of Li Shuangfei's attack. This was apparently endless but was no more than the speed of a breath. The fingers linked to heart already shot over. Bang 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 bang. The heaven-tearing flying sword promptly emerged and revolved in his surroundings, becoming shields. The dead leaves flying darts shot onto the swords and gave rise to an oppressive pounding. Sparks sprayed everywhere in the air. His divine intent-linked flying swords only made Su Xing feel nearly unable to endure. Such incredible flying swords, to unexpectedly be capable of resisting even this great sage's fingers linked to heart? The golden flying swords formed a dragon shape, emitting a swift and severe spirit that made Li Shuangfei endlessly astonished. Her fingers linked to heart basically could not be contested by normal flying swords and sword arrays. Shall we continue? Su Xing raised his eyebrows. This great sage speaks and keeps her promises. Li Shuangfei slightly smiled. Her whole body relaxed as she drew near Su Xing. She appeared to have already conceded, but she had only taken 2 steps when she suddenly became a shadow, sneak attacking Su Xing. A shadow-like short sword was already in her hand, and her voice was chilly. But this great saint also likes to break her word. Bang! The flying swords came together. Su Xing struck with his palm, directly sending the Li Shuangfei who had revolted flying. Su Xing smiled at her. Fortunately, I've never believed in a woman's promises, particularly ones like yours. Li Shuangfei's face paled. With sword and shield in hand, she gnashed her teeth. Damn it. The Shi Meng spectating the battle blinked her eyes. She asked Gu Tong, what now? Everything a star general can do is already unable to stop him. Gu Tong was torn. From the very beginning, the female tiger did not believe in star masters. Rather than produce these trials to probe Su Xing's strength, it was better to say they wanted to deliberately make things difficult for Su Xing, to make him back out of the situation or perhaps expose his true face. Although Bai Yutong's innate skill wine brewing was very good, how could female tiger have faith in a star master who had contracted Gong Sun Huang would waste this valuable quota on the rat star? But things were completely outside of their expectations. The martial arts and moral character Su Xing displayed appeared impeccable. If Gu Tong became hostile, she would contrarily hurt Tong Tong's heart. Actually, your servant feels it is fine to believe in him, so long as he can sign a contract. Sun Xinyue smiled. If he truly wished to exploit Tang Tang, there would be no need to go through so much effort. Pausing, little Yuchi looked to the relaxed and refined leisure star dragon in the clouds at the side. Even if you do not believe in this star master, so long as Gong Sun Xing says it, the ranked fourth elder sister leisure star is worthy of our faith. Reasonable. Shermeng agreed. Gu Tong struggled. Since mistress is so reluctant to part with Tang Tang, you might as well follow this man. You are Tong Tong's mama, anyways, and he is Tong Tong's papa. You two are a pair. Li Beilian giggled into her sleeve. This idea is not bad. Sun Xinyuan nodded in agreement. Gu Tong's face reddened as she glared at them. As if this old lady would follow a star master. Then what about Tang Tang? AI, it seems this old lady can turn Tang Tang over to him. Gu Tong gazed at Gong Sun Huang. She could only make this decision. Sky-soaring great sage Li Shuangfei very quickly was defeated. It really was not that her martial arts skills were not up to par, rather, Su Xing's flying swords were troublesome. In a direct confrontation she could not take the advantage. Such a deadlock was not a solution. Sky-soaring great sage might as well just not waste any more time. The fifth bridal price was Zhou, however, having tangled with Su Xing once before in Evil Smiting Hall, the single-horned dragon inherently did not have any intentions to fight further. Let alone that they used a rotation of battles against Su Xing. This was not a genuine star duel. It was always not too brilliant to go up herself, but she still stepped up without any persuasion. However, Zhou clearly did not have the mind to battle, merely to test the waters. Thus, the final bridal price was Gu Tong. Een star female tiger Gu Deseo, your servant asks you to forgive his rudeness. Su Xing looked at the birth treasure outline. The data for Een star Gu Tong was completely within his eyes. Her identity was actually within Su Xing's expectations. Just her lady shopkeeper temperament and maternal love was enough for Su Xing to be able to guess her. Star position, Een star, 12, star name, Gu Deseo, 13, nickname, female tiger true name, Gu Tong rank, 101st star weapon, male and female tiger head hairpin, 14, 3 star, star beast, tiger on the shoulder realm, 1000 military's 5th stage innate skill, voice, 16, 5 elements, fire yellow rank special move, lioness from Hudong roars, 17, dark rank special move, Tathagata's proper sound, 18. The others laughed into their sleeves, very curious as to what kind of testing method their mistress could use. Her martial force definitely could not do, however, to make Su Xing listen to the female tiger's lioness from Hudong roars actually was not bad. Gu Tong could not possibly be so ill-mannered. She turned around and entered the restaurant. Enter! Su Xing followed her in. Above the door, he noticed a black wind-slashing ring saber. Isn't this green-eyed tiger Li Yun's star weapon? Seems like she was unlucky. Entering the restaurant, Su Xing looked around. The decorations were exceptionally imposing. The floor and furnishings were all spotless. It seemed that Gu Deseo's operations were busy. Mistress, just what are you going to compete in? Xinyue, you go and bring those restaurant-guarding treasures from the wine cellar. Gu Tong ordered. Tong? Could it be that you are? The girls were taken aback. Today, this old lady throws caution to the wind. Gu Tong sternly said. Su Xing probably could guess what Gu Tong wanted to play with. Not long after, Sun Xinyue brought over 4 sealed wine jugs. An intoxicating smell wafted over, and the air seemed to ferment, making a person feel as if their bones had gone soft. Just smelling the wine made people drool. Seeing Su Xing's astonished appearance, Gu Tong was considerably proud. This wine's name is Orange Jasmine. 19. Orange Jasmine? Su Xing exclaimed. Liangshan continent had the legendary 5 great excellent wines. These fine wines were not the same as ordinary wines. They were brewed from every sort of material, fermenting for 100 years. They were fermented to a sort of realm that panaceas could not compare to. Even star cultivators could not resist. Su Xing knew that the pinnacle of the 5 great excellent wines was known as drunk 1,000 years. 20 a drop could make a bowl of clean water turn into wine, a jug could ferment a river. However, this drunk 1,000 years was exceedingly rare. Supervoid cultivators found it difficult to find and taste, and the orange jasmine was one of the 5 great excellent wines. Although it was not like the drunk 1,000 years, Su Xing knew that its alcohol content was extremely high. Normal people could only drink a small mouthful and be drunk for several hours afterwards. Star cultivators with better capacity for alcohol would need to lie down after drinking a bowl. You wouldn't happen to be thinking of making me drink wine, right? Su Xing said. We shall compete with wine. Whoever can fully drink 2 jugs first. However, this old lady shall warn you beforehand, this orange jasmine was specially brewed by us sisters. It is absolute in Liangshan. Even Emperor Liang could not possibly taste it. So long as you become drunk, after wine, spit out the truth, you hear this old lady? Gu Tong gazed steadily at Su Xing. Is it this incredible? Su Xing knew what Gu Tong was planning. On one side, she was testing his capacity for alcohol, and on the other, she wanted to make him clearly state his own thinking under a state of extreme intoxication. A gentleman is open and poised, and Su Xing naturally did not have anything to worry about. Do you dare? You are screwed. Mistress is but astonishing in alcohol capacity. It is best to not compete with this. The others kindly persuaded. Perfect, how can I not taste Liangshan's finest excellent wine? This trip would be in vain. Su Xing greatly smiled. With one hand, he grabbed a wine jug, opened the seal, and deeply sniffed. He only felt his body nearly go numb. Straightforward. Gu Tong's eyes carried a smile. She grabbed a jug, chugging a mouthful. Chugging down the orange jasmine, the blood vessels in his whole body seemed about to explode. The strength of the wine shocked Su Xing into a stupor, and he nearly fell over. How is it? Not bad, right? The female tiger put down the wine jug, her cheeks already completely red. Staving off the alcohol, Su Xing's line of sight gradually cleared. After all, the heart-like mirror was at its peak, so how could the orange jasmine be worth a mention? Su Xing did not answer. He gulped down the wine, leaving the aroma on his lips and teeth. His body cells seemed to be invigorated. This intoxication honestly was hard to describe. Female tiger also drank a big mouthful when she saw this. Hey, this is but the orange jasmine, not water. Sun Xingyue looked at the two, speechless. The entire restaurant very quickly was permeated with the scent of alcohol. Just smelling it would make a person's bones go limp. Tong Tong's face were slightly red, somewhat hazy. The first jug of orange jasmine was practically completely drunk at the same time. Good wine. Su Xing did not hesitate at all to drink the second jug. Gu Tong showed slight surprise. She also grabbed the second jug, stepping onto the table with one leg as she drank a large mouthful. The wine's fire and warmth rolled like alternating ice and fire within Su Xing's body. His internal organs flipped up and down, his awareness hazy. All sounds seemed to disappear, and a supreme stupor made Su Xing only wish to die in the intoxication. He was delighted, extremely delighted. Licking up the last drop, Su Xing wished to continue. Sun Xingyue and the others looked at Su Xing as if they were looking at a monster. 2 jugs of orange jasmine, yet he unexpectedly still was not drunk. This capacity for alcohol was simply terrifying. Got more? Su Xing twitched his lips. His whole body was enveloped in the scent of wine, his capillaries completely opened. How about you drink a bottle of White Bones wine to decompress? Li Balian enticingly said. Tonga, you lost. Sun Xingyue wanted to tug at Gu Tong. The female tiger was clearly somewhat drunk, her eyes unfocused, her speech slurred. Umph, as if this old lady would give her daughter to you. This old lady is Tong Tong's mama. She is unwilling to give her daughter to you. As she said this, Gu Tong's eyes were completely red, and she choked up. She honestly had an attitude of being unwilling to marry off her daughter. Even advising Tang Tang was no use. Tonger is drunk. The group apologetically said, Su Xing, you can really hold your liquor. Never expected that Tonga would not be able to outdrink you. Sun Xingyue said. She was somewhat manly, confident and straightforward, considerably forthright. Is she all right? Su Xing apologetically asked. Seeing the disorderly Gu Tong, Sun Xingyue helplessly smiled. It seems that mistress is done for the day. However, we sisters already are at peace. So long as your distinguished self is truly capable of signing a contract and protecting her, the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion will support your kind efforts. Su Xing looked at the cute Tang Tang. Those full eyes were like pure jades that made people incapable of destruction. Tang Tang shouldn't participate in the star duels. Sun Xingyue smiled, not replying. Su Xing covered his head. The orange jasmine's aftereffects were surfacing, and his eyes were seeing stars. Sun Xingyue saw that the outside of the restaurant was already cool as water, with a night wind blowing. She said, The time is already late. Tonight, your distinguished self Su Xing can stay at the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion. Tomorrow, when Tonger wakes, we will then turn Tang Tang over to your distinguished self. She will also be at ease. The girl was somewhat embarrassed. All right. Su Xing nodded. There was no need to decline. He indeed needed to properly rest for a night right now. At this time, Gu Tong was in a drunken frenzy. Suddenly she tore open her lapel, exposing a pink bodice. This bodice was completely incapable of supporting the female tiger's great breasts. The bodice enormously bulged, and an erotic sight was leaked. The wine that Su Xing drank was nearly sprayed out. Su Xing, compete with this old lady in this. If this old lady loses, this old lady shall go with you. Gu Tong's hands grabbed and fondled her chest, very unresigned as she charged Su Xing in argument. She had wanted to run over, but she was promptly held back by sky-soaring Great Sage and Zoku. Sun Xingyue painfully face-bombed. Bailian, quickly go take Su Xing to his room. Gu Tong, I won't let down Tang Tang. You can be reassured. If you don't believe words, if you're willing tomorrow after you sober up, then you can accompany me together. Su Xing shook his head, leaving behind these words. This old lady does not want to marry off her daughter to you. Gu Tong was in a stupor. Arriving in the room, Li Bailian sweetly smiled. Hero Su Xing, do you require any other services? Do not hesitate to ask, then I will have to trouble you. Su Xing felt that heaven and earth were reversed, that the world was beginning to turn upside down. The orange jasmine's powerful alcohol content could not be suppressed even by using the heart-like mirror. That scent of wine enveloped his whole body. His body was light as a swallow, and only after Li Bailian left did Su Xing collapse onto the bed, asleep. A blue figure emerged. Hunyangzi looked at Su Xing's unbearable sleeping posture with a harsh frown. Although the scent of the orange jasmine was enough to intoxicate people, as far as the Hunyangzi who stuck rigidly to custom and remained cleanly was concerned, Su Xing's body permeated with the smell of alcohol made her heart very displeased. Does Gong Sun Huang wish to help wash the young lord? Gong Sun Huang blinked, not declining. Then, Gong Sun Huang had Li Bailian bring hot water. When Li Bailian dallied Gong Sun Huang on whether Gong Sun Huang wanted her to help wash Su Xing, the leisure star sent her out with a stream of wind. Hunyangzi held Su Xing, dragging him behind the screen door to the bathtub. Dear husband? Dear husband? Hunyangzi called out several times. Su Xing slept like a dead pig, his mouth muttering something about good wine and pleasure. If right now that Star Master was here, he basically was just a fish on the chopping board to be taken advantage of. If you cannot drink, then do not drink. Liangshan's supreme excellent wines, could it be you do not feel injured from drinking 2 jugs? Hunyangzi's appearance was practically that of a little wife grumbling about seeing her dead drunk lord husband stumble back home. Then, her fingers directly stripped Su Xing naked and pulled him into the tub. A pair of perfect, pure white fingers began to wipe Su Xing's whole body clean. Although Hunyangzi's face blushed to the point of erupting fire, her movements did not stagnate in the slightest, very expertly displaying an aspect of a wife. Gong Sun Huang. Hunyangzi was slightly startled. She saw that Gong Sun Huang was undressing. The little loli blinked and took off all of the clothes on her body. Her petite and fine body still was full of a certain immaturity like an unripened apple. "What are you doing?" Hunyangzi could not make sense of things for a time. Gong Sun Huang floated into the bathtub. Her pair of tiny hands then scrubbed along Su Xing's body, her intent very clear. Married couple's bath? This phrase flashed through Hunyangzi's mind, and her face was even more red, like a tomato. You? This. The Gong Sun Huang, who had already bathed with Su Xing before in a married couple's bath, found this as a matter of course. The leisure star was indifferent as before. Hunyangzi lowered her face, not uttering a word, forcefully wiping Su Xing's body. The Su Xing, currently immersed in a beautiful dream, was completely oblivious to this covetous treatment. After helping Su Xing bathe with much difficulty, Hunyangzi's whole body was soaked. Then, she made the bed and again she carried Su Xing over. In spite of Su Xing's sturdy body, Hunyangzi had plenty of strength to do so. After she put Su Xing into the bed, Gong Sun Huang also finished washing. Seeing that Su Xing was still dead drunk, Hunyangzi sternly said to Gong Sun Huang, "Nyangzi is not too convinced by female tiger and the rest. Nyangzi fears that something surprising will happen to the drunken Su Xing tonight. We must look after dear husband, keep close by." Gong Sun Huang nodded, sleeping to one side of Su Xing deep night. Wife. Su Xing talked in his sleep. "Dear husband, Nyangzi is here. Is something the matter?" Hunyangzi opened her eyes and walked before Su Xing. Su Xing opened his eyes in a daze. In his line of sight, there appeared a beautiful young girl. She had a heroic air, eyes like cold stars, and brows like crescent moons. In his mind, the beautiful figure of the young girl seemed to carry an Arctic star serpent spear, standing atop a snowy cliff. "Ah!" Hunyangzi gasped, for she was pulled into Su Xing's embrace without any warning. Dear husband. Hunyangzi had never been embraced so intimately by a man. The sweet scent of masculinity after a bath hit her in the face. Hunyangzi's mind was uneasy. She wanted to push Su Xing away. Struggling, she suddenly heard Su Xing's sleep talk. Bright star 10 feet of blue. Hunyangzi's body froze. Her eyes were complex, and her heart immediately softened. She allowed Su Xing to hold her, an indescribable sadness bubbling forth in her heart. Hunyangzi lightly bit her lip, half resentful. 3. The candle light extinguished, and the moonlight faded. This night was quiet. The next day, when Su Xing got up, he only felt that he had a bewildering dream. In his dream, it seemed that he had his wedding night with Lin Wangmai served him with a bath, extremely tender to the utmost of her abilities. At this time, Su Xing recalled the dream of golden millet of divine mathematician Jiang Shui heavenly mystery. He then recalled all kinds of fantasies of making love to Lin. For a time, he nervously held her against his chest, speaking every tender sentiment that he could not say aloud. In the end, the two became one, ascending the peak. "Your Highness." A soft call came to his ear. Su Xing opened his eyes. Against his chest, there indeed was a girl, but she was not Ingme. Rather, she was Gong Sun Huang. The little girl was slightly red. "Little Huang, I was drunk last night?" Su Xing rubbed his forehead. He sniffed himself. "Weird, I surprisingly don't reek of alcohol." Gong Sun Huang slightly nodded. "The orange jasmine is very formidable. The aftereffects are so strong. If at that time I had encountered an evil star master, then I definitely would be dead." Su Xing had lingering fears. Although an excellent wine was good, only a dabble would suffice. However, that orange jasmine was indeed powerful. His lips still were left with a soft feeling. "It is very good that dear husband can think of this." Hunyangzi walked out from behind the screen. The young girl clearly had been bathing not long before. Her hair was soaked with water droplets, permeating with a fresh smell from head to foot. Seeing that Su Xing still had a bit of reflection, Hunyangzi's face was even redder. Last night, it was Husan Yang who helped wash your highness. Gong Sun Huang said. Wife, I've truly troubled you. Su Xing apologetically said. Hunyangzi stared at Su Xing for a long while. She pursed her lips. It seems that Gu Deseo and the others did not conspire against dear husband at all. Nyangzi is also relieved. This instant, Su Xing had a sort of illusion of being cared for by a wife. He stared blankly at Hunyangzi. Dear husband, is something the matter? Hunyangzi wrinkled her brow. Worthy of being called the absolute beauty among the 9 generations of Maiden Mountain Star Maidens, she made Su Xing unexpectedly feel somewhat out of control. He said, let's go down first. N. Do you want to return to the star nest for now? Su Xing suddenly asked. He already had a contracted Gong Sun Huang at his side. If he let Gu Tong know that he had also contracted the bright star, he feared that some twists and turns may arise, so last night, he had Hunyangzi continuously conceal herself. How could he have anticipated that Hunyangzi would decline? No need, dear husband. Last night, dear husband already conquered those sisters. If Nyangzi has not anticipated incorrectly, today, they will allow Bai Yutong to sign a contract with dear husband. There is no need for Nyangzi to hide. Su Xing also thought so. The restaurant's main hall. The Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion's 8 star generals were already completely assembled. Gu Tong sat at the front of the hall, an ice pack pressed to her forehead, groaning incessantly. Last night's orange jasmine did not allow this female tiger to get away so easily. Seeing Su Xing descend the stairs, her gaze seemed to want to kill someone. It was full of resentment. Clearly, Een Star female tiger also knew that after drinking last night, she was in a state of no control where she had exposed her breasts. She was vexed, but this female tiger was nevertheless brazen, pretending that nothing had happened at all. Sun Xinyue, Li Beilian, and Li Shuangfei had even wanted to greet Su Xing, but when they saw the beautiful woman following behind Su Xing, they were all shaken. They looked at each other in dismay and cast odd looks at Su Xing. This is wife. Su Xing introduced, Oh, this is the wife that taught you martial arts? Shi Meng thoughtfully sized up the bright star, great shock in her eyes. Su Xing did not explain too much, only beckoning to Tang Tang with his hand. Tang Tang glanced at her mama. Gu Tong was without a choice, and then Tang Tang threw herself into Su Xing's chest like a bird. Her sweet voice was more rich and mellow than the orange jasmine he drank last night. All of the girls were perplexed as to when Su Xing's wife had entered the building. At this time, they no longer cared that much. They saw that Su Xing and Bai Yutong's relationship was this good, and they were able to be further at ease. Regardless of what this man's goal was, at least his tenderness towards Tang Tang was not so bad. Gu Tong wanted to say something but then hesitated, a pitiful expression of seeing her daughter get married. Su Xing, just who the hell are you? Gu Tong shook her head, asking. A star master. Su Xing concisely replied, You don't need to ask anymore, I will tell you the truth. I don't have the support of any influential family nor great sect. What? The 6 star generals were simultaneously astonished. They seemed to have heard something inconceivable. Could it be that you are a star master on your own? Li Shuangfei twitched her lips, not too convinced. She could not be blamed for thinking this way. Now that the star duels had long made new developments daily, it already could no longer be classified as an arena for loners. Su Xing's display last night was not like a loner. Without mentioning those outrageous martial arts, just those 12 golden flying swords being able to block her fingers linked to heart-made walking star sky soaring great sage smell the aura of something immemorial. Ever since early morning, they guessed at Su Xing's identity. The majority felt Su Xing could possibly be from the Azure Dragon territory's Clear Void Most High Path. Not exactly, I have the 4 Styles School. Su Xing thought. 4 Styles School. All of the girls were somewhat confused. The Azure Dragon Territory's ancient senior arriving Nine Dragons great sect had long already been covered in the dust of history. After its destruction, the Black Turtle Territory naturally also would not be too clear about it. However, Su Xing only needed to mention the Four-Style School's dragon namesake to make somewhat of an impression. So it was that ancient great sect. Then your flying swords are within reason. We can turn Tang Tang over to you, but here is one last condition. Sun Xingyue crossed her arms. A contract, is it? Su Xing smiled. Sun Xingyue smirked and nodded. 7 bridal prices were fine, unwillingness was fine. Compared to these, what allowed Su Xing to contract with Tang Tang was his way to victory. However, Gu Tong was not convinced Su Xing used talent to deliberately make things difficult. Now that he had said as much, there was no use crying over spilt milk. She could only concede. Sure. Su Xing picked up Tang Tang, tenderly saying, Tangning, do you want to sign a contract with Papa? Bai Yutong bit her adorable lip. She turned her head to look back at her mama and elder sisters, her limpid gaze apparently awaiting their opinions. Gu Tong nodded without a choice. Does Papa want Tang Tang? Bai Yutong timidly answered. Of course. Su Xing smiled. Tang Tang is willing to sign a contract. Bai Yutong said in a small voice. She did not need any teaching. Star generals innately possessed the capability to sign contracts. Rat Star Daylight Rat Bai Yutong closed her eyes. She gently wrapped her fingers around Su Xing's extended middle finger. A contract between Star General and Star Master only required the Star General's own willingness to work. Even if the Star Master was conflicted, they were incapable of rejection. For this reason, Hun Yangzi was able to force a contract onto Su Xing. However, if both sides were common in intent, the contract could have even greater effectiveness for each. Thus, the highest kiss contract could, after the Star General became a complete Star General, purportedly allow Star Master and Star Maiden to go everywhere as lovers, inseparable. Of course, this inseparability was useless to the absolute majority of Star Maidens and Star Masters. After signing a contract, each very rarely separated. They were not as abnormal as Su Xing, having so many Star Maidens, roaming far and wide during the end of the 3rd phase. A star crest was carved into Bai Yutong's spotlessly white forehead that flashed and reflected upon Su Xing's forehead. The gorgeous light rays, markings, and mirages circled around, illuminating the entire hall. Gu Tong fell into Sun Xinyue's bosom, sobbing, actually like a mother unwillingly watching her daughter get married off. Although she was saddened, seeing Bai Yutong able to find a master she could believe in, she was still happy. Tonga, actually, you can also follow this man. Although you will not be able to sign a contract, looking after Tang Tang is great. Sun Xinyue consoled her. Woo no, Gu Tong wiped her eyes, mournfully saying, how could a mother marry off her daughter, and then go become a concubine? Li Balian giggled. Is Su Xing not Bai Yutong's papa? Mistress and he are a married couple. This old lady does not have a husband. Bastard. Gu Tong wiped her nose, so sad. Ah. Suddenly, Li Shuangfei and Zhou Ke let out sighs. Gu Tong looked and cried even more sorrowfully. As it turned out, at the final juncture, Bai Yutong's little tender lips kissed Su Xing's. Seeing a 7- or 8-year-old little girl kiss him, Su Xing felt full of guilt. However, it was too late for him to think more of it now. The originally illusory sight now was seemingly substantial as it scuttled to Su Xing's forehead. A scorching hot blade carved somewhat painfully against Su Xing's forehead. Fortunately, Su Xing had already signed contracts with 9 Star Generals and was already accustomed to this. Seeing everything, Hun Yangzi was in a corner, showing a near imperceptible grief. Gong Sun Huang looked at her. She blinked and floated over, sitting on her shoulder. Let alone that Gong Sun Huang's age was small, this action still had an elder sister's qualities. Hun Yangzi very quickly stored away her expression. At this time, the light slowly faded. Bai Yutong slowly opened her eyes, her gaze timid. Su Xing's eyes carried a warm smile, and he hugged Bai Yutong tightly against himself. Gu Tong endured her urge to cry. Her daughter was happy she could not shed tears, Congratulations, you have to take good care of our Tang Tang. If you make her feel wronged, the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion sisters will not let you go. Li Shuangfei sternly said. Tang Tang, take good care of Papa. Zhou Li Bailiang, Gu Tong and the other women one by one told Bai Yutong. This scene looked somewhat moving to Su Xing. Bai Yutong's eyes were red. Tonga! Sun Xingyue suddenly said. Gu Tong twitched her lips. She walked before Su Xing and took out a transparent astral stone. This is the betrothal gift our Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion sends you. In the future you must take good care of Tang Tang, keep it for yourselves. Su Xing shook his head. He knew that the future star duels would be even more dangerous. At that time, perhaps if the star maidens without contracts had peak martial force like Lu Junyi or Lin Chong, otherwise, they would not escape the fate of a starfall. I have enough strength to protect her. I don't want to see Tang Tang's mama and elder sisters hurt. This old lady gives you her daughter's dowry, yet you still refuse without regard for law or morality. Gu Tong roared, forcing this astral stone onto Su Xing. Su Xing naturally disliked this scene of hurt. Suddenly, a divine light shone. Do you all want to sign a contract with me? His words astonished everyone. Gu Tong and the other women were each taken aback. They looked at Su Xing, thinking, did this guy go insane after marrying? That wife is bright star 10 feet of blue Hunyangzi, my 9th star general. Su Xing directly introduced. Hunyangzi's forehead glowed with a star crest, and at the same time, Su Xing's forehead twinkled. At this instant, the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion was absolutely silent, more silent than a tomb. What did you say? Your 9th star general? Gu Tong nearly forgot herself. Then Tang Tang is my 10th, Su Xing smiled. Stupefied. Everyone was stupefied. This sort of matter was unprecedented, unheard of. 10-star generals, were they dreaming? Even if they were dreaming, this was rather too preposterous. Then each of them have something to do, and there is still 1 more month until we reunite. At that time, you can then see them. Gu Tong found she was incapable of using words to describe her current shock. Her entire voice became a scream of disbelief. You did not get things wrong, did you? Just what sort of person are you? A star master who hopes to end the star duels. Silence. Gu Tong and the others stared at each other. Would you be willing to sign contracts with me? Su Xing's invitation really was not a joke, but came from his sincerity. End these star duels together? The third phase Evil Smiting Hall was on the verge of ending. After this, the curtain would raise on cruelty. No matter how Female Tiger and the others worked together, when faced with a heavenly star, they were no more capable than pulling against a crazy tide. On this point, Gong Sun Huang was a lesson. Su Xing thought that Gu Tong and the others would agree. Regardless of perspective, this was something of absolute benefit without downsides. Each took what they needed with no reason to oppose. In actuality, Gu Tong, Li Bailian and the other star generals did not have a bad impression of Su Xing at all after yesterday's bridal prices. The contracted earthly stars of the star maidens acted as they felt, let alone that abnormal star masters of strength as valiant as Su Xing's to the point of defying the natural order could not be found even with a lantern. How could Su Xing have anticipated that matters would not be as he had thought? Gu Tong and the others were silent for a while, and then Gu Tong shook her head. Why? Su Xing did not understand. Because you are incapable of contracting us. Sun Xingyue lightly smiled. Won't you try? Su Xing did not understand her assertion. No need to try. After contracting Tang Tang, you truly have 10 stars contracted altogether, correct? Gu Tong asked. Su Xing nodded. Then do you know how much your contracted star maiden limit is? Gu Tong asked once again. Su Xing never thought of this before. Because in his subconscious signing contracts always happened with a tailwind, he did not feel there was any limit. Is there a limit? Of course there is a limit, otherwise, one star master could contract countless sisters. Then would there be any use for star duels? Gu Tong pursed her lips, her eyes carrying slight frustration. Then how many do you say I can contract? Su Xing was perplexed yet interested. Gu Tong looked at Su Xing. She drank a mouthful of wine and said nothing. Sun Xinyue replied in female tiger's stead, 15 star generals. This is the final limit of your star duel covenants with star maidens. Liked it? 15 star generals. This is the final limit of your star duel covenants with star maidens. Su Xing was stunned. There was a sort of feeling of his previous freedom immediately crumbling. Why do you say this? Su Xing was not convinced, or perhaps he was unwilling to believe this fact. We opened a restaurant, and we have heard much information about the star duels. Could it be that previous star masters were also capable of unlimited contracts? Su Xing's expression was stern. Hunyangzi also drew closer to her dear husband. This actually has not been heard of, however. Do you know of the Seven Stars Assembly? Sun Xinyue thoughtfully smiled. The Seven Stars Assembly. The fifth phase of the star duels and also the last phase. After thinning out the herd to the final 7-star masters to ascend Maiden Mountain, they will fight for hegemony to obtain the star duel's final wish. How could Su Xing not know? This was so oft repeated about the star duels that all star cultivators had committed it to memory. However, Su Xing did not understand how this and his unlimited contract limit being actually only limited to signing 15-star maidens were related. Could it be? Su Xing wrinkled his brow, suddenly thinking of something. Sun Xinyue's eyebrows rose. Have you thought of it? That's right. In the past, there have already been countless people who have attempted to unravel the mystery of Liangshan's star duels and star maidens, but genuine materials can be counted on fingers. However, the Black Turtle territory has a saying. The reason why there are battles in the star duels is because Maiden Mountain has a forbid dance limiting the number of people. Su Xing did not have anything to say. Each star master contracts 1 star maiden. Add on a single special double contract. This means that the final 7 stars assembly can have 15 star generals ascending Maiden Mountain. This is the final limit of the star duels. Sun Xinyue softly said. Su Xing's heart was complicated. He naturally understood Sun Xinyue's meaning. Since 15 star maidens was the limit for entering Maiden Mountain, then his contract limit also was derived from this. But how believable was this? Who knew? But Su Xing also was hesitant. Although he clearly knew that he should not be deceived by completely baseless speculation, any way it was put, he was a world crosser. Of Liangshan's variables, this rule perhaps could not necessarily be established on him. After all, his contracts with 10 stars was inherently unable to be found anywhere. But if he actually was capable of contracting 15, the first one Su Xing thought of was Wu Xiao. Wu Xiao was unwilling to sign a contract with Su Xing, but the two had long already surpassed the intimacy of Star General and Star Master. Su Xing also had the idea that at the final juncture of the star duels, no matter what, he would make Wu Xiao become his own wifey in name and reality. He did not want to see a melodramatic tragedy show. If he truly was limited to 15 star generals as Sun Xinyue and the others surmised, seeing Su Xing's eyes beginning to shrink, Sun Xinyue twitched her lips, very excellently concealing her disappointment. The Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion's other star maidens each looked at one another. Let's contract then. These 3 words, with a voice like thunder, shook apart this brief silence. Gu Tong, Sun Xinyue and the other star maidens were each astonished. They looked in shock at Su Xing, and the tang-tang against his chest also lifted her gaze. Limit, that is not the end. Su Xing smiled, fearlessly saying this phrase. His ease and self-confidence made Gu Tong feel a rush of excitement. Are you thinking that however more you can contract is fine regardless? Li Shuangfei pondered. Her guess was not at all without reason. Now that 3rd phase evil smiting hall was already about to end, at this point, contracted star maidens naturally were very common to find. This was not a lost opportunity. I am but preparing to sign a contract with my wifey, Wu Xiao. Su Xing smiled / Wu Xiao. Wu. Tu Gu Tong and the others blinked, and they were suddenly startled. You could not be speaking of Harm's star pilgrim Wu Song. Su Xing cheerfully nodded. Who are you kidding? How can Wu Song possibly sign a contract with you? Wait, you said you contracted 10, and that you do not have the support of a great sect. Just what kind of person are you? Suddenly, Gu Tong thought of something. Purple Thunder Monster, this is what people seem to call me. Su Xing smiled. 3. Gu Tong felt she may have still been in a stupor. Otherwise, how could such a preposterous matter occurring first thing in the morning? Even those documents and stories were not so fantastical. The Purple Thunder Monster. These 4 words made the spring breeze drunken rain pavilion incredulous. Even the calm and collected Shi Meng unavoidably had the same expression as the rest of her sisters, dumbstruck. So it was this all along. By doing so, all of the explanations were connected. 10 star maidens, able to possess martial arts that could contend against a star general. If he was the Purple Thunder Monster that had contracted the Lin Chong that never signed a contract in 1,000 years. Everything made sense. Tang Tang has found a good papa. Li Bailian's smile was a gently swaying flower. How about it? Are you willing to sign a contract with me? Su Xing asked once again. Do you not wish to sign a contract with that harm star Wu Xiao? Sun Xingyue said thoughtfully. Could it be you do not want her anymore? Of course I want her. Even Maiden Mountain cannot stop me from marrying her. However, your servant does not believe in this limit. Even if there actually is a limit, if worst comes to worst, I won't ascend Maiden Mountain. Su Xing trampled on the rules. All of the star maidens were moved. Your servant is somewhat moved. Sun Xingyue admitted to the sister. From this perspective, we have been taken advantage of. Your servant actually feels that she was taken advantage of by you. Su Xing perspired. Was this the legendary backwards logic? This old lady likes you, but I will not sign a contract with you. The sisters that wish to ascend Maiden Mountain with this man can go. Gu Tong sat on her chair, sipping wine. The other star maidens glanced at each other, smiled tacitly, and all shook their heads. What, are you afraid? Su Xing shook his head. You dare make that bet. I admire your courage. I am confident that a courageous man will be the one capable of achieving great things, but we do not dare make that bet. Gu Tong was very direct in her answer. She stared blankly at the tiger on her shoulder that jumped onto the table and drank wine. We 6 sisters have never been separated since opening up shop, so your good intentions, we appreciate them. Sun Xingyue's hands propped up her chin as she smiled. Don't you want to look after Tang Tang? Su Xing asked. With a papa like you, do we still need to worry? You had better set aside the quote for your wives. And that Lu Junyi is pretty good. Oh, right, shall we give you introductions to the 3 Ruans and Shijin? They have not signed contracts, and we know where to find them. Gu Tong said with interest. Su Xing sighed. Are you sure? Exactly, since you can contract so many sister, it can be deduced that Chao Gai will not let you go. You worry about yourself first. Seeing Gu Tong and the other 6 star generals already make their decision to not sign contracts, Su Xing had nothing he could say. Since this is so, I won't insist. You honestly are an understanding man. Such a star master. If there were more, that would be better, Gu Tong faintly said. But how could the environment fermented over Liangshan continent's 1,000 years of star duels be changed? Today is a happy day for Tang Tang. Do not talk about these upsetting things. There is still one more bridal price, Su Xing, do you wish to pay it? Gu Tong was stern, her eyes narrowed in happiness as she asked. Ever since she knew that Su Xing contracted multiple stars and issued an invitation, the expression female tiger looked at Su Xing with was much warmer, unlike her conflict from the very beginning. There is another bridal price? Su Xing smiled. 7 times the bridal price, add on there is only 6 of us sisters, you have only paid 6. Naturally, you are missing 1. Gu Tong pointed to each of the sisters. Say it then. Su Xing said. This bridal price is not ours. It is Tong Tong's. Gu Tong said. Tang Tang. Su Xing looked at Bai Yutong. The girl was also at a loss. Tong Tong's dark rank wine, seemingly drunk and stupefied, 5, is only missing the final brewing ingredient. However, we have no way to help her obtain it. To the extent that the third phase is already ending, we are still unable to let Tang Tang brew the seemingly drunk and stupefied. Since you are her papa, it should be by rights that you help her? What material is it? Su Xing asked her. Baby's breath. 6. Gu Tong concisely named the material. Tang Tang's wine brewing results were very powerful. This dark rank, seemingly drunk and stupefied, could make heavenly stars use their corresponding dark ranks. There were no after effects, and it was for this reason these wine brewing materials were very hard to find. Now that Su Xing had 10 stars, if he could have the support of Tang Tang's wine brewing, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings. Just seeing this result, Su Xing made his decision. However, this material was located in a dangerous zone. The Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion's 6 sisters could not do even by teaming up. Then I'll go. Su Xing smiled and said. Before he left, Su Xing once again said with great care, Gu Tong, I feel maybe you ought to move? The Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion was so ostentatious, in this region known to everyone, now that the third phase already was nearing its end, the probability that the 6-star maidens of the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion were not being eyed was 0. The Black Turtle Territory's devil palaces were numerous, and recalling Great Sage Starkiller and Guanyin, Su Xing was even more sick at heart. For this reason, he previously wanted to sign contracts with them. Starfall, what is there to be afraid of? Gu Tong and the others scoffed at death. To be able to open shop with great fanfare, they already made their psychological preparations. I mean this. Su Xing did not want to see this sort of thing happen. There is no need for you to worry about us. We naturally have considerations. The 3 ruans that we just mentioned to you, we shall go there. Gu Tong waved her hands. The 3 ruans. There was some friction between Su Xing and the 3 ruans, however, the influence of the 3 ruans was extensive. The Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion's 6 stars going there was not a bad choice. If you ever change your ideas, you can find me anytime. Su Xing said. You truly are so maudlin. Are you my husband? Gu Tong was powerless. Su Xing smiled. He said to Tang Tang, Tanging, let's go. Bai Yu Tong was reluctant to part, looking to her mama and elder sisters. Then, Su Xing's riding sword then flew into the heavens. Take good care of our daughter, you bastard of a man. Gu Tong used a lioness from Hedong roars at the sky. They are gone. Yes. Mistress, could it be we are actually going to the 3 ruans? What Su Xing said is logical. Now that Tang Tang has been married to a man so defiant of the natural order, this old lady can finally be at ease. Do you wish to go? Finding Shijin is not bad either. Great Saint Starkiller would not dare provoke her so easily. In actuality, Mistress can sign a contract with Su Xing. You are Tang Tang's mama, anyways, right? Such a good man is hard to find in Liangshan continent. Balian is even wet. You are love-struck. What? Are you giving up on this old lady? Gu Tong feigned anger. We will still rely on Mistress to feed us. The girls laughed. All right, we ought to open shop for the day. Let us plan more and then see. Hee hee. On an elevated platform engulfed in black miasma, fog and ghost fire were everywhere. A man sat cross-legged on the platform with his hands upraised in hand seals. Following his slow circulation of his cultivation method, an odd scene happened in the surroundings of his body. The black chi turned into a person's face. A body became visible on this man's body, bearing claw and fang, showing a malevolent look. From far away, this man appeared to be a prehistoric devil or god descended, showing a terrifying dignity. This man was precisely Great Saint Starkiller. Great Saint Starkiller opened his eyes and took a deep breath. After a long while, that circulating devil chi slowly calmed. The 8 Desolate's heavenly demon body has already reached the 8th layer. Just a little more and I can break through the shackles. This Star Dual Covenant truly is Liangshan's absolute. Ha! Banging sounds came from outside. Great Saint Starkiller retracted this ability, walking outside. Outside the room, in the courtyard, A woman of extraordinary might was currently brandishing a great blade. That great blade was extremely forceful and dignified, particularly that flowing starlight that showed an eerie black chi. Several dozen demon beasts that the Devil Star Palace had bred were attacking her. Those demon beasts had very terrifying appearances, just like human bodies, wielding blade and spear, and their blade techniques were also consummate. Confronting ordinary cultivators, they had enough to spare, but how could the surrounded woman be any ordinary cultivator? Even Great Saint Starkiller would die without doubt facing them. These serpent demons let out howls. The woman took a step forward, her blade technique dazzling. That trajectory could not be clearly seen by even Great Saint Starkiller. Instantly, the surrounding serpent demons were cleaved to pieces by the great blade. But the girl was not at all satisfied. She stared hatefully at that great blade, heavily waving it about, as if she wanted to shake out the endless pain and resentment. The air resounded with a clap. The girl lifted her head. Please, was without emotion. Inger, your martial arts are becoming more and more superb. These dozen serpent demons cannot be bested by even supercluster stage elders. Great Saint Starkiller applauded. How can these serpent demons compare to Wu Song, Lin Chong? There are no qualifications for comparison, still not enough. Great Blade Guan Ying coldly said. The expression she looked at Great Saint Starkiller with no longer had that sort of confidence and ease that existed previously. Like the Great Blade's cursed black star, the girl's eyes were deep as hell, making one sink in. Even Great Saint Starkiller felt a chill in his heart. Inge, have you still not gotten over that matter? Great Saint Starkiller sighed. Your Highness need not worry. This general naturally will make an all-out effort to acclimate to this hatred, Guan Ying whirled around. Anyone could see that brave star Great Blade Guan Ying expression was extremely terrifying. When she said that hatred word, even Great Saint Starkiller unexpectedly felt his whole body go cold. Your servant shall continue to go practice blade techniques. Guan Ying walked away, not wishing to say anything more. Great Saint Starkiller wrinkled his brow. He somewhat doubted whether giving Guan Ying the 9 Nether Devil Star Stone to refine was right or wrong. Truly, a stubborn star general. An enchanting and alluring woman's voice suddenly appeared in the space. Great Saint Starkiller was startled and raised his head. In the sky appeared countless black butterflies. These butterflies gathered then dispersed to show a woman's figure. The woman was of magnificent and unmatched allure, her body contrasted by a billowing black silk long skirt that highlighted her curves, making men bleed from their noses. Nevertheless, Great Saint Starkiller only felt a deep chill. Lady Ming Dai. As one of the 4 great protectors of the Black Turtle Devil sex, Ming Dai's star energy was boundless, her powers unimaginable. However, at the present stage, Great Saint Starkiller and Guan Ying did not have any possibility of victory in facing this super void middle stage great cultivator. What is it? Does brave star Guan Ying still obey you? Ming Dai indifferently asked. Inger is currently adapting to this 9 Nether Devil Star Stone. Great Saint Starkiller deferentially spoke. Training the Great Blade, renowned head of the 5 Tiger Generals, is much more interesting compared to the Star Duels. Is it not, Great Saint Starkiller? Ming Dai smiled. Great Saint Starkiller could only smile apologetically. If he so much as dared to think of the word interesting, Guan Ying could sense it. This time, I have come to inform you that the Black Turtle Temple is opening. The mission Devil Ancestor has given to you. Do you know? Ming Dai asked. Your servant knows. Your servant definitely will exhaust all of his abilities to present Devil Ancestor with the Dragon Snake Great Good Fortune pills. Great Saint Starkiller made clear his intentions. Ming Dai very happily nodded her head. That you can be so obedient does not betray how meticulously the Devil Star Palace has raised you. As for the 5-star materials for the Brave Star Great Blade, the Devil Star Palace has already nearly helped you accomplish that. If your performance this time makes Devil Ancestor satisfied, then Devil Ancestor shall reward with the materials for 5-star. Ming Dai's eyes carried a mocking smile, looking at the Black Turtle Territory's #1 Great Saint Starkiller as if he was a dog. No mistake, he was merely the dog that the Devil Star Palace had reared for use in the star duels. Obedience was rewarded with a bone. There is also another piece of information. The Black Turtle Temple will have many great sects. At that time, Devil Ancestor wishes to have you capture everything about those star generals in one go within the Black Turtle Temple. You can achieve this? Ming Dai asked. Even if Disciple must tread through water and fire, what Devil Ancestor has ordered shall be accomplished. Great Saint Starkiller answered. Ming Dai smiled. There is no need to look like this. The Devil Star Palace would hate to part with you, the Star Master. We naturally will lend you a helping hand. Great Saint Starkiller was delighted. It is time to harvest those 6 star generals of the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion. You and Guan Ying are to quickly go forth. Have Great Blade Guan Xing use her purple brilliant moon slashing blade to execute those 6. At that time, the 9 Nether Devil Star Stone can display even greater use. I believe that star weapon can rapidly approach 5 star, even 6 star. But your servant fears that Ying, Great Saint Starkiller, was nervous. Fear that she will not kill? Ming Dai smiled. Exactly. Although Disciple can use command enforcement, if Star Master and Star General are incapable of raising tacit understanding, the current Black Turtle Temple juncture will definitely give rise to variable. Your servant fears that Devil Ancestor's plan will not be successful. What Great Saint Starkiller said was considerably pleasant to hear. Ming Dai's meaning was profound. I cannot see that. You still are so very concerned about that, Guan Ying. Could it be that the Star Maiden's beauty has aroused you? Disciple does not dare wish to vainly attempt to dip his finger. Bare intentions shall serve Devil Ancestor. Great Saint Starkiller hastily showed his loyalty. As you should. What you say is also logical. If we truly force Guan Ying to a bad spot and Brave Star becomes hostile, the Devil Star Palace shall ruin everything for the sake of one thing. Ming Dai looked pensively. What directions does Lady Ming Dai have? Great Saint Starkiller asked. Ming Dai pondered. So long as you kill the 6 stars, have the 9 Nether Devil Star Stone exhibit its greatest effect. At that time, Guan Ying will inevitably be corrupted by devil intent, unable to become hostile to us. We can also spare all the trouble, but how to kill these 6 stars? Suddenly Ming Dai eerily smiled. This will depend on Great Saint Starkiller's performance. What can Disciple do? The trick of self-injury to earn the enemy's confidence. 2. Can you do this? The trick of self-injury to earn the enemy's confidence? Star General and Star Master have signed a contract. In case a Star Master receives a threat, even the Brave Star will act to protect her master, with all her power. This is their veritable weak point. Do you understand? Ming Dai left it at that. Many thanks to Lady Ming Dai. The black butterfly illusion dispersed, and the air was left with only the soft smile of malevolence. The trick of self-injury? Great Saint Starkiller took a deep breath. Ying, for the time being, I will have to wrong you. We will cross that bridge when we get there. If we have the strength, this stray dog treatment the Devil Star Palace gives us will definitely be amply returned. Great Saint Starkiller showed a deep murderous aura. Yellow Crane Island, 3. Su Xing soared through the clouds and came to an island named Yellow Crane. This island was considered large, covered in a thicket with a yellow crane tower from which it got its name. However, the baby's breath that he required was reportedly in one of Yellow Crane Island's valleys. That place was a school's establishment known as Yellow Crane Gate. It was because of the Yellow Crane Gate that the several previous attempts of the Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion to help Tang Tang find the baby's breath was unsuccessful. However, in the Black Turtle Territory's largest marketplace, the 9 Dragons Sea's 9 Dragon City, 5, some sold it. However, the price was too expensive, and furthermore it was farther away. It was better to gather ones that were readily available rather than make unexpected payments. Su Xing hid in the clouds, sizing up the Yellow Crane Island's topography from the sky. He saw clearly the palace halls in the forest, the cultivators coming and going. As if something had happened in the Yellow Crane Gate, they were somewhat clamorous. I didn't come at the right time? Su Xing wrinkled his brow. Since we're here, we might as well enjoy it. Returning home empty-handed was not his style, and his figure immediately descended into the valley. The trees of the jungle reached for the sky. Baby's breath was reportedly common by marshes. Su Xing thus specially sent to search at those lakes. However, this Yellow Crane Island was near the sea where there was much danger. Often, demon beasts would come here to nest and lay eggs, so Su Xing was not careless. Suddenly, there was a roar. The birds in the trees scattered in all directions out of fright. A giant demon beast charged through the forest. That was an odd creature, possessing sturdy forelegs and an oversized body, like an inflated lizard, but it had only one eye, a bloody maw and sharp fangs. Venom glistened on those teeth. Its appearance was indeed ugly-some, but Su Xing nevertheless did not dare be neglectful upon seeing it. Devil-Eye Evil Lizard. 6. The Devil-Eye Evil Lizard, a monster that frequently appeared near damp areas. It was particularly fond of deep and cold ponds, very dangerous, and its strength was probably around Galaxy late stage. It did not count as a big threat, yet it was not so easily dispatched. "Dear husband, allow me." Before Su Xing could act, Hunyangzi's figure shot forth like an arrow. The Devil-Eye Evil Lizard sprayed out a wide rain of acid. Hunyangzi penetrated through the downpour like a nimble sea swallow. She got through by the margin of a hair's breadth. The water's reflection was drawn out, and she suddenly pulled up her body. Like an arrow leaving its string, she directly flew towards the Devil-Eye Evil Lizard's head. In midair, her double sabers already fiercely swung out. A golden wind saber chi already shot out from the saber's edge. Muffled bangs sounded out continuously. The Devil-Eye Evil Lizard's forehead and shoulders continuously swelled with bloody welts. Clearly, it was already injured by the saber chi, but it basically did not react. It roared loudly, every sort of terrifying high-concentration acid spraying out. The trees and earth were dissolved. But it did not have the slightest effect on Hunyangzi. Even if that kind of downpour was so concentrated, amid Hunyangzi's magnificent light smoke dance steps, she simply was traversing an empty path. The Hunyangzi that was completely without any leeway quickly already surpassed the Devil-Eye Evil Lizard's limit. Even her backward speed was far faster than these attacks. If it was not for holding back to avoid startling the Yellow Crane Gates people, Hunyangzi perhaps could be even more relaxed. Roar! The Devil-Eye Evil Lizard roared loudly. Its right claw already brought powerful wind pressure as it violently swept downwards towards Hunyangzi. Bang! With an enormous sound, the strong right claw ruthlessly scratched a trench into the earth, yet even Hunyangzi's water-blue skirt was not stained at all. The corner of Hunyangzi's mouth floated a slight sneer. Hunyangzi's figure flashed and landed. The golden wind and morning dew double sabers resonated and carved green and golden wind. The Devil-Eye Evil Lizard was beheaded without any ceremony. The double sabers were stowed. Hunyangzi noticed that Su Xing was currently staring at her. The girl felt her face. Does Nyangzi have something on her face? Su Xing returned to his senses, looking pensive. Wife, you seem to be preoccupied. No, dear husband is thinking too much? Hunyangzi kept a straight face. If you have something on your mind, you must tell me. I am your dear husband, you have to believe in me. Su Xing said with concern. Bright star 10 feet of blue. Hunyangzi nodded, opening up her face, the corner of her mouth retaining a shallow smile. Zhao Hanyan, Yan Yizhen and Ensuan prepared for several days at the Great Liang Imperial Palace. The Ling Yan princess told them beforehand about the important items to note about the palace of Empress Hua before moving out for the Valley of Empress Hua. The Valley of Empress Hua was surrounded on all sides by mountains. Thousands of rocks contended for beauty, tens of thousands of gullies vied for the river flow. Multicolored flying swords assembled from every corner of the world. In the center of the valley, there were already many cultivators. When the Ling Yan princess was arrived, she attracted the gaze of everyone present, regardless of sex or age. Zhao Hanyan was accustomed to this sort of staring, and her natural imperial pride did not lose any of its grace. Even a few star generals would take a step back. Zhao Hanyan landed at the place for the true immortal hall. Senior Sun Jinzi. Xian Jinzi looked at the beautiful disciple in front of him, inwardly startled that the star dual covenants were formidable as expected. He had spent more than half a lifetime only to reach supercluster late stage. Now, Zhao Hanyan had already attained success with a single step, and this time of cultivation had been just a short 4 years. Princess Highness. The true immortal hall's star cultivators deferentially saluted. Zhao Hanyan slightly nodded and looked around the valley. In each of the generations' evil smiting hall, the palace of Empress Hua would appear in the final 3 days before it ended. The renowned 1,000-year tears of Empress Hua were born inside the palace of Empress Hua. Each generation at this time, all of Azure Dragon territory would be alarmed, but such a beautiful thing had already been tacitly agreed upon by the 10 great sects. Before this time, the guard of the palace of Empress Hua was extremely tight. Without a writ of passage, cultivators and sects that planned to reap a share of the words first made plans for their souls to be destroyed. And as far as this palace of Empress Hua was concerned, this was an extremely rare opportunity for all star masters and star generals. Not only because of the tears of Empress Hua, but also because before the start of the 4th phase, the palace of Empress Hua could be said to be a supreme warm-up. Practically all of the Azure Dragon territory's sects and star masters would get together all at once. In addition, the end of the 3rd phase signified that all star generals had become complete star generals. The star duels would no longer hold back at all. Princess, these two are? Xian Jinzi looked at Yan Yizhen and An Suwen. The 2 girls followed Zhao Hanyan. Beforehand, they had already changed to maid outfits and put on face veils. He could not recognize them. These are Hanyan's maids. They will enter the palace of Empress Hua together with Hanyan. Zhao Hanyan played down her reply. Princess Highness, you must be careful around Yen Wudao of the Lifeless Hall. Xian Jinzi stroked his beard. The corner of Zhao Hanyan's mouth held in a smile. Her gestures were graceful, and the elegant purple palace dress was like smoke and fog, making the Ling Yen princess appear somewhat mysterious. Why does Senior Xian Jinzi say this? While we were discussing about this time's palace of Empress Hua just now, that Yen Wudao's star general featherless arrow Zhang Qing has apparently been continuously upgrading her star weapon. We fear it is 4-star, even 5-star. Xian Jinzi and the Lifeless Hall's ancestor Longevity were old friends. To hear this from his mouth, clearly it could not be that wrong. Zhang Qing's 5-star destined weapon? Zhao Hanyan's eyebrows rose. Zhang Qing was a top-notch expert in concealed weapons. The higher her star weapon level, the greater the menace it could bring about. Although Zhao Hanyan these days had also finally upgraded Steadfast Star Dong Juanqing's star weapon to 4-star, under the situation of identical level star weapons, Zhang Qing's hidden tools took an even clearer advantage. That honestly makes your servant excited. Dong Junqing licked her lips, disdainfully putting this beneath her. She turned her head to look engrossingly at the expressionless Yan Yizhen and the warm An Suwen. What do you say? A moment later, several exclamations of surprise came from the valley of Empress Hua. A vast expanse of snow-white fog descended from the sky. A young girl standing on a snow-white flying sword landed. She was absolutely beautiful, garbed in clothes that surpassed snow. Her long black hair was like a waterfall, and her forehead was heroic, her figure graceful. She naturally wore an ice cold that repelled people, adding to the girl an icy grace that no other woman had. Beside the girl was also a tall woman in accompaniment. Different from her icy arrogance, this woman was like stone, just like a sculpture. Little Sister Kai Wei, it seems you had a great harvest. Zhao Hanyan slightly smiled at the young girl. The girl's cultivation had reached the peak of galaxy stage, and it seemed a breakthrough to supercluster stage was not due for long. The immortal hero Princess Gong Kai Wei nodded, not batting an eyelid. Zhao Hanyan Long was already accustomed to her unreasonable personality. She carried herself with grace, saying nothing more. Gong Kai Wei walked to the Extreme Ice Holy Palace. The fairy ladies of the Extreme Ice Holy Palace were concerned as they asked about something. They probably were discussing matters regarding this palace of Empress Hua. The snow-like brilliance of Gong Xiwei's pupils were absent-minded as she nodded. A while after, the alliance of 10 sects arrived one after another, including among them the blooming Water Sword sect, which was without a Star Master. However, this did not obstruct them from visiting the palace of Empress Wa at all. I hear that Imperial Sister has found 2 maids to follow her. Imperial Sister, when have you been so careful? A magnetic man's voice came to Zhao Hanyan. The approaching man's face was like jade, a handsome appearance. He was elegant, and beside him followed a girl wearing a pink palace dress, who was beautiful with an extraordinary temperament. Zhao Heng looked at Yan Yizhen and Ensuwen, somewhat disapproving of Zhao Hanyan's conduct. It is preferable to be cautious. Imperial Sister exhorts Imperial Little Brother, in all cases, do not be overly self-confident. Many thanks to Imperial Sister for the advice. However, to enter the Hall of Empress Wa within, those who are not Star Masters cannot enter. Imperial Sister's 2 maids perhaps are unnecessary. Zhao Heng smiled. You had better first worry about yourself. Dong Junqing said in annoyance. Zhao Heng glanced with restrained fear at this 5-tiger general, saying quietly to Zhao Hanyan, Imperial Sister, how about we siblings join hands for the palace of Empress Wa? We can get rid of all the other Star Masters. Is this palace of Empress was not ours? Junqing, what do you say? Zhao Hanyan did not answer. Dong Junqing looked lasciviously at the young girl beside Zhao Heng. If little sister Qingshuang agrees to sleep with Junqing for a night, perhaps Junqing will agree depending on little sister's affection. It truly is an extraordinary shame and humiliation that the 5 tiger generals have an elder sister like you. Suo Qingshuang snorted. Junqing will make you feel even more ashamed. Dong Junqing was completely like a shameless pervert. Your Highness, let us go. There is no need to accept a compromise. The 5 tiger generals are even more likely to become the target of others. Since your Highness was so kind and the princess so unwilling to accept, then do not blame us for not first warning you. Suo Qingshuang sneered, turning around and leaving. Imperial Sister, please take care of yourself. Zhao Heng is being good-intentioned. Zhao Heng cupped his fist and left. However, what that impatient vanguard said is somewhat reasonable. Junqing, we must be careful. As expected, Dong Junqing was the only 5 tiger general at this palace of Empress Wa. This status would turn into a thorn in the side of the other sects, without doubt. Junqing will properly teach those disobedient little sisters. Dong Junqing chuckled. At the final moment before the palace of Empress Wa opened, the clear void Most High Path also rolled over on a green cloud. All of the more than 100 cultivators in the valley threw their gazes over. The Azure Dragon Territory's #1 great sect, all of the cultivators that came were each of reserved temperament, of extraordinary presence. The clear void Most High Path has suffered repeated and heavy losses ever since the Purple Thunder Monster was born. Several of its great cultivators had died. 2. However, the Most High Path was still worthy of the name of the Azure Dragon Territory's #1 path. The one leading these Most High Path cultivators still was a Super Void cultivator. Furthermore, this one was a female cultivator named Nangong Xing. 3. The other sect ancestors each extremely revered her. However, what was more eye-catching than Nangong Xing, nevertheless the one called the Azure Dragon Territory's #1 genius, Xie Zhenyuan. Xie Zhenyuan still had an imposing appearance, the person simplistic as a chrysanthemum. However, this genius halo had long already fallen. His cultivation was currently only supercluster middle stage, only one level away from Zhao Hanyan. Never expected the talented Xie Zhenyuan surprisingly would contract an earthly star completely lacking in martial force. Truly, this princess cannot understand what this man is thinking. Zhao Hanyan shook her head. Xie Zhenyuan indeed was a genius. With his talent and background, contracting a top-notch heavenly star was not out of the question. If this was the case, he actually had a possibility to vie for the overlordship, but following the exposure of Xie Zhenyuan's star general Hou Jian, no one believed he still could have any chances. Regarding his choice, which the Most High Path indulged in, The entire Azure Dragon territory was still puzzled after pondering over 100 times. Suwon heard Big Brother say before that the Most High Path has another star master, one who has contracted elder sister investigative star. And Suwon whispered, "What?" Zhao Hanyan and Dong Junqing were stunned at the same time. Investigative star unrestrained? Zhao Hongyan's tone was heavy. "Are you sure the Most High Path has another star master?" Dong Junqing wrinkled her brow. Big Brother was sneak attacked by her. And Suwon nodded. The investigative star. A top-notch assassin. To be sneak attacked, your brother truly is abnormal to have survived that. Dong Junqing snorted, a sort of regretful tone. What a formidable trick. Surprisingly, they put Xie Zhenyuan in the spotlight while nurturing another one in the dark. So formidable. Zhao Hanyan pursed her lips. Her beautiful eyes gazed at the Most High Path, attempting to seek out that dubious star master. However, to be able to contract the investigative star, the opponent clearly was very skilled at hiding himself. Zhao Hanyan could not discern them. Everyone has waited for a long time, now make way immediately. If you are not one of the 10 great sects, or a disciple of a sect without a rite of passage, immediately withdraw. Otherwise, face the consequences. Nangong Xing indifferently issued this order. Just at this moment, black clouds galloped over from the horizon. Apologies, this sect has arrived late. Ancestor Longevity apologetically smiled, for the lifeless hall was late. Any later, and there would be no need for the lifeless hall to come. Nangong Xing coldly said. Fairy Nangong is also here, this old man apologizes. Ancestor Longevity cupped his fist. No nonsense. Begin to vacate now. Do not be deceived by anyone, especially that purple thunder monster. Nangong Xing said. No one dared to be neglectful. The palace of Empress Hua was so large, the purple thunder monster perhaps would not pass up a good opportunity. This monster had now made the 10 great sects hate him to the bone. How could they be willing to give this bastard a chance? Zhao Hanyan snickered. Princess, what is the matter? Dong Junqing was perplexed. To think that Su Xing can make these ancestors keep quiet out of fear, this princess feels this is interesting. Zhao Hanyan shallowly smiled. Steadfast star Dong Junqing wrinkled her brow, her heart very jealous of Zhao Hanyan's sweet and happy smile. Soon, these 10 great sects ancestors can only be extremely deferential to Su Xing. Zhao Hanyan already could imagine it. No need to wait any longer. If they truly wish to harm Master, slave servant shall go help Master settle some trouble right now. Yen Yizhen did not hesitate at all to speak. Zhao Hanyan was taken aback. She gently smiled. Do not be too impulsive, Yen Qing. The inside of the palace of Empress Hua will naturally have trouble. When the 10 great sects began to lock down the palace of Empress Hua, Zhao Hanyan looked around the valley, sizing up these star masters and star generals. In the Lingyan princess eyes, the ones worthy of note were Zhang Qing's 4 or 5-star hidden weapon of Yen Wudao and the assassin hidden in the Most High Path. Both were experts of difficult-to-defend backstabbing assassinations. Zhao Hanyan thought. Secondly was the Crystal Dragon King Palace. The Crystal Dragon King Palace's cultivators were many, and their star master was indistinguishable, but Zhao Hanyan did not dare lower her guard around this treasure-great sect. However, what made the Ling Yen princess wrinkle her brow the most was the purple firmament immortal palace that had yet to show their face. Just what was this purple firmament immortal palace planning? Could it be they were giving up on these star duels? As she thought this, she suddenly heard everyone gasp. Zhao Hanyan stowed her thoughts. In the center of the valley, a gorgeous palace hall began to appear just like a water painting from the mountain stream, swirling open. Su Xing, Hunyangzi, and Gongsun Huang searched the Yellow Crane Island's forest for the tracks left behind by the evil lizard. A long while afterwards, Su Xing caught sight of several women wearing odd attire that sternly stood in wait. Their eyes were full of concentrated vigilance, as if they were guarding something. Su Xing guessed that the cold pool of that baby's breath was in the middle. He saw that though the cultivations of these young girls was merely galaxy stage, each and every one of them was like a deity, their countenances dignified. Recalling that Yellow Crane Gate was seemingly in somewhat of a ruckus, if he forced his way through, that would perhaps give rise to unnecessary trouble. Su Xing pondered for a moment, exchanging looks with Gong Sun Huang and Hunyangzi. Gong Sun Huang entered the star nest while Hunyangzi waited outside. Following this, he used hiding, avoiding the eyes and ears of these girls. He carefully slinked away. A long while afterwards, Su Xing effortlessly infiltrated 100 meters. Seeing those girls standing guard not notice him at all, Su Xing breathed a sigh of relief, and then he continued to sneak carefully in. A slight chill came through the air. He was already drawing near the cold pond. Su Xing's heart was delighted when at this moment, a faint voice came from the cold pond that mercilessly extinguished Su Xing's joy. Su Xing was startled, held his breath and heard a woman's voice speak. Queen Jingluan, 2. The Yellow Crane Gate's sect Master Taoist Master Yellow Crane is determined to not lend the Yellow Crane Tower. He still is unwilling to lend it? A languid beauty's voice indifferently replied. The Yellow Crane Tower is the Yellow Crane Gate's holy place. That Taoist master said that only the successive generations of headmasters can come and go. Our threats did not move him. The Yellow Crane's holy place? Truly laughable. If it was not for me requiring the 48 Nine Songs Yellow Dragon Pearls on the Yellow Crane Tower, why would I ever treasure that sort of decrepit building? Inform that Taoist Master Yellow Crane, I will give him 10 times the reward. If he refuses, then do not blame me for being overbearing. The woman being addressed as Queen Jingluan had a tone full of tyranny. Su Xing could imagine her high and mighty attitude from just listening to her voice. Slave servant does as you bid. The sounds of rustling departures faded into the distance. There was silence for a long while. Another warm woman's voice said, Is Queen Jingluan truly preparing to make a move against the Yellow Crane Gate? The Yellow Crane Gate's influence is not small, and this place is also their domain. Perhaps Queen's hands will be dirted. Ziyu, someone else taking the Yellow Crane Tower will leave me at wit's end. I definitely do not value it, but this 9 Songs Yellow Dragon Pearl can help me upgrade my star weapon to 5-star. How can I let this go? Queen Jingluan teased. What Queen said is true. Star weapon upgrade? Su Xing was immediately stupefied upon hearing this. This Queen Jingluan was a star maiden? What star maiden could be so imposing, to unexpectedly be able to have this sort of capability? Her speech could be so disdainful to this Yellow Crane Gate. Su Xing was unable to hold back the curiosity in his heart. He parted the shrubbery, carefully casting a glance, very curious just what sort of character this Queen Jingluan was. This look nearly made Su Xing's beastly instincts erupt. He spotted a woman standing tall in the cold pond accepting the care of several maids. She was absolutely naked, her butt jutting out. That extremely good figure exposed in the air had an additional plumpness and lacked wiriness. Her mien was charming, and the makeup on her face was very beautiful, just like the world's most perfect masterpiece. Even people made of stone would melt away from just her graceful curves. Her purple hair cascaded down to her shoulders. For beautiful maids around the woman washed her body. They were faintly discernible as beauties as well, but they lost their splendor before this woman in front of them. If it could be said that woman's body was completely ripe just like a fruit that made one devour it in a single gulp, these maids were too immature. Even though he had seen countless beauties, the Su Xing who had innumerable encounters with such beauties still actually drew in a breath. This woman honestly was an absolute beauty. Queen Jingluan currently was conversing with a young girl wearing a purple vest and a long skirt. They did not take note at all, but her every action and her body's finest details were completely taken in by Su Xing's eyes. Is Queen truly preparing to go to Black Turtle Temple? The Ziyu girl said. For such a grand occasion, how can I not go? Queen Jingluan slightly smiled. But I hear that the Devil Star Palace's Great Saint Star Killer has most recently given Guan Sheng's Frostfair Blade a 9 Nether Devil Star stone to use. The Black Turtle Territories people surmise that Great Saint Star Killer will take action against the other Star Masters inside Black Turtle Temple. Perhaps it will be dangerous for Queen. Ziyu said. The grand brave star has surprisingly fallen to the state of a devil star. Truly lamentable. If I have the chance, I shall go test her. Queen Jingluan was not at all worried, her tone even thoughtful. So I must have these 9 songs yellow dragon pearls. Ziyu righteously said, Tantai Ziyu, 5, definitely will tread through water and fire for Queen. Queen Jingluan's face wore a slight smile. She said, Ziyu, come down and bathe with me. This yellow dragon cold pond really does enjoy a well-deserved reputation. Rumor has it that it can nourish your skin, so do not be modest. Tantai Ziyu hesitated a moment. She was incapable of refusing Queen Jingluan's smile. She nodded, reaching out her hand to undress. The young girl's white naked body very quickly was revealed in front of Su Xing's eyes. It was different from Queen Jingluan's. The girl completely faced him directly. Queen Jingluan and Tantai Ziyu washed under the service of the 4 maids. This scene was somewhat erotic. Su Xing turned his gaze, and just at this moment, there was suddenly a gurgling sound from the forest beside him. The shrub parted, and a horned demon beast walked out snarling. Its bronze-like eyes suddenly glinted with golden light as it stared at Su Xing. Oh shit! Su Xing's heart chilled. The single-horned demon beast roared, and the forest rumbled. A chill that reached the bone came from the cold pond. Su Xing shot into the sky, instantly using an escape technique. He then ran. Seeing that this woman's influence was seemingly extensive, and with the Black Turtle Temple before him, he did not want to complicate things. So quick at running. Su Xing flashed into the sky, leaving behind an afterimage. He had only just left when Queen Jingluan's palm leveled the place he had been hiding at. Queen! The dozen beautiful maids immediately congregated at the cold pond on their riding swords. A man! Tantai Ziyu's face chilled. What are you all doing? Queen is bathing, and for a man to be unexpectedly be let through. Tantai Ziyu slapped the woman acting as the leader. She slapped her face so hard that a painful handprint appeared on her face and blood leaked out from her mouth. Queen Jingluan did not say anything, but her expression was full of unhappiness. The girl did not dare quibble. Disciple has neglected her duties. She shall now bring that man back. Unnecessary. Queen Jingluan coldly said. Queen, Tantai Ziyu was perplexed. My single-horned Pishio beast, 6, is already in pursuit. To allow you all who could not even detect him to go chase after him, truly is a joke. Queen Jingluan said, displeased. Disciple should die. The dozen girls knelt in self-blame. Tantai Ziyu shouted, return and punish yourselves. Forget it, they cannot be blamed. That man was no more than 50 paces away from me, yet I unexpectedly did not notice. It seems he is an expert in presence concealment. A thoughtful smile hung on the corner of Queen Jingluan's lips. She did not know how long her sensual sight in the cold pond had been spied on by that man. Queen Jingluan's heart had some displeasure, yet it did not so easily flare up. This could only be blamed on her being so audacious in bright daylight. To be spied on like this, Queen Jingluan lost her interest in bathing. The maids dressed her. Good. I will now personally visit upon the yellow crane gate. Queen Jingluan pursed her lips, her fingers playing with a lock of hair that drooped down. Immediately prepare the cart. Tantai Ziyu ordered. The others did not dare be neglectful. Queen Jingluan glanced in the direction Su Xing escaped in, deep intrigue in her eyes. Su Xing's wandering the clear skies directly flew high into the sky. Behind him was screeching. The clouds rolled, and that demon beast that had discovered Su Xing pursued him relentlessly. It had golden eyes, a lofty single horn, appeared to be like a lion and tiger, and it exuded a fierce chi. A star beast? Su Xing wrinkled his brow, yet he had never heard of this. Gong Sun Huang emerged from the star nest. She pointed a finger, and star magic struck that single-horned Pishio beast. That single-horned Pishio beast was intelligent, evading. Just as Gong Sun Huang was about to release Di Nu, Su Xing stopped her. Don't startle the snake in the grass. 7. A gorgeous phoenix the likes of the D new heavenly phoenix still could not yet be seen by anyone. Currently, Su Xing already knew that Queen Jingluan will also go to Black Turtle Temple, and he naturally did not wish to all of a sudden have an additional opponent. Who was he kidding? Su Xing did not believe that Star General would remain aloof after her body had been peeped on. Gong Sun Huang nodded in understanding. Roar. The single-horned Pishio beast would not wait that long. Its figure flashed, and the single-horned Pishio beast roared loudly. The air suddenly released green wind blades, and this fierce beast did not hesitate at all to launch its assault. The violent chi flames seemingly were about to swallow Su Xing whole. Su Xing's fingers snapped. Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder attacked, and the first bolt of purple thunder hooked a purple line, shattering with the green wind blades. The single-horned Pishio beast suddenly disappeared. The single-horned Pishio beast pounced. The imposing air of its body was seemingly substantial. Just the slightest touch could make one die horribly. A powerful star beast? It appeared to not fall behind the D new heavenly phoenix, being in the same category. Su Xing hastily withdrew. Suddenly he whirled around, his finger pointed at the single-horned Pishio beast's eye. A dragon roar flew out, and the 12 heaven tearing directly shot at the single-horned Pishio beast's pupil. The single-horned Pishio beast erected a magnificent light barrier, like a net, that entangled the flying swords. Even with heaven tearing's destructive power, it was temporarily unable to struggle free. A surprising capability that, at this time, the single-horned Pishio beast already arrived in front of Su Xing, opening its mouth. Su Xing was calm and unhurried. As he retreated, he let out Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder and other abilities. Once again, the purple thunder scattered and fell like rainwater. Purple lotus flowers concentrated and multiplied. The single-horned Pishio beast roared like thunder, and the launched purple thunders were split apart by visible chi flame. Su Xing immediately ascended to an even higher altitude, hastily retreating. Loud sounds detonated behind him one after another. The figure the single-horned Pishio beast created was just like a viper giving relentless chase. Without any time to catch his breath, this shadowy intent to kill pressed in from all sides. The single-horned Pishio beast's speed was simply stifling. It is the single-horned Pishio beast. Gong Sun Huang suddenly said, Pishio beast. Su Xing was even more surprised upon hearing this name. Was that not an existence close to a holy beast? Like its name, the single-horned Pishio beast was considerably ferocious. Its speed was extremely quick, and an altitude of 10,000 meters would not hinder it in the slightest. Even Su Xing had a hard time sensing its trajectory. It appeared to be a shadow from hell. The single-horned Pishio beast already showed a malevolent posture, pressing down upon Su Xing from behind. A baleful aura of death arrived heavily. Su Xing once again dodged but without his previous ease. If it truly was a holy beast, then it was honestly thorny. Gong Sun Huang blinked. Immediately, she prepared to call forth the D new heavenly phoenix. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.